Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we go. It's the special end of year review. And what a year it has been. If you are a regular subscriber of GTL, you would have seen the channel grow from 1,800 subscribers in early January. Now, over 20,000 subscribers at the end of the year. That's thanks to you guys. And come on, we've got some special stuff coming on this one, I tell you. How are you doing, JG?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Ben. Love the intro. We've got Lady T in the chat saying, let's get the party started.
Woo!
Indeed, we shall. We have a lot in store. We have a special montage of some of the best bits of 2021. We've got a special guest as well. And so many matches to get through. WTA, ATP, the lot. Stay tuned. It's going to be a very special episode. Similar to last year's one, but a little bit better, I'm hoping.
I hope so. Well,
famous last words.
The one thing that I will say is, at least for our guest this year, I've had my first beer now, not 3 or 4 before they arrived. So hopefully I'll still be compos mentis by the end of this show. So, but JG, everyone's here for the end of season review. Should we treat them to something that we haven't done before on GTL?
Yeah, let's get going straight into it. These are some of the best bits from 2021.
What are you drinking?
Yeah, what
is that? Oh, coconut. Nice.
I thought it was like a pina colada or something. I want Karatsev to do well.
Can Medvedev win it? I think so. The winner, for me, Naomi Osaka. I think she's going to start the year with a bang.
He's
Aslan breaks.
Well,
Alex can't believe it. Oh my God. Djokovic into his 9th Australian Open final. He's gone for the lob. He's got a smash.
He's got it. Djokovic.
18 Grand Slams from Novak Djokovic.
He wins his 9th Australian Open title. Down the line. Look at that. That is
You can't write this stuff.
Novak Djokovic has set a new world record. The return of Roger Federer.
He misses it.
Herkash has got it. Come on, son. He's gone forehand. He's a winner. Good. Rublev wins it.
Hey, ole, ole, ole.
Stick to your Russian flag. It's wide!
It's wide!
Everyone else wins it! Aslan hitting it so hard, he's in! It's there! He's got the first set! Come on!
What a volley! What a volley from Tsitsipas! No, it's a double fault! I've jinxed it! I knew it was going to happen! Ramos, he saves it!
They're talking about Gail Falkenberg. Favourable treatment here for Rafa Nadal to win this. And it's wide, and Rafa wins it! Come on! Yes! It's number 58. Rafa's missed the volley.
Oh no!
Oh, you naughty boy!
He silences the crowd. He puts his hand to his ear. There we go.
Come on!
Kavitzova wins the Roland Garros 2021. Djokovic has hit another gear. But Zverev, on the other hand, amazing. He was really the best player.
He's done it! He's done it!
Carlos Alcaraz, remember the name.
Done it!
It's long! It's long! Leylah Fernandez on the floor crying.
GTL got it right again. The final we all wanted. Ace! She's done it! She wins the US Open! Emma Raducanu! Let's go!
The crowd is getting worse.
They don't listen to you, umpire. You have no authority. There you go! He's done it!
Celebration, he plays dead.
It's a winner! She's done it!
It's a big one, she's on the floor. Paula Badoza, Indian Wells champion.
It's so good! Yes!
He's done it!
Djokovic
He's
wins!
done it!
Oh, it's an ace! Second serve ace!
What a champion he is, he's won it twice. Well played, Sasha Zverev.
Wow, what memories there of the year. I think we can agree that we did it. I know we heard
He's done it. She's done it. They've all done it.
But there's one guy who has definitely done it this year and had a fantastic year. He is going to be our guest here today. It's the guy with the most. It's Gill Gross. Here he is.
Yes, boys. Great to be back. What a year you guys have had. How about that?
Mate,
what a year you've had as well. It's been a fantastic year for us both. Game to love, as Ben was saying at the start. I remember we didn't have too many subscribers. We've grown that. We've been doing so many podcasts. And I'll let you tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, well, I remember when you guys had me on, you were asking me questions that I did not expect. It was like, Gill, what are you doing with your life? What's happening here? At that point, I was hoping to be in tennis, to broadcast in tennis, and it was a big year for me in that respect. I got to do some work with Tennis Channel. I will be continuing that. Pumped about that, and but just super proud of you guys as well, because amazing, incredible work all throughout the year. Consistency. I knew when I was on there, I'm like, these guys are fun. As long as you two get the exposure, people are gonna come on board, and I see that they have, and it is great to see.
Wow, you've got Michael Walker in the chat saying, "Wow, all my boys are together." He's loving it.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thanks for some kind words as well. Yeah, they got Dylan in there saying congrats on such an amazing year, guys. Really, really appreciate it. We got Vic in saying, "Hey, Gill, what a guest! Look at this." The GTL fans, you're always in the comments section. Everyone's talking about Gill Gross, and has to be said, we said it before you came on the first time, and it's still the same. I think, if anything, your analysis, all that type of thing, it's just getting better and better, mate. Like watching your videos, and I think it shows all the views you get, all of that type of thing. Definitely the guy to go to for tennis, like pre or post match analysis. So well done on growth of your channel and getting all of the opportunities that are coming your way, mate. Really, really well done.
I appreciate it, Ben. And now just to change things up a little bit, I do have a bone to pick. Now that we're done with the compliments back and forth. So you have Tomas Berdych on, David Ferrer on, and then you have me on? Is that what we're doing? Like, talk about a way to make me look awful. I mean, the ratings are gonna plummet. I mean, and then it's gonna look like I did something wrong here.
Never. You're probably more sought after than you would think, so Gill, that's the thing. But there were a lot of people who were saying, like, oh, does Gill found out about the David Ferrer, that you met David Ferrer? Like, wait until he finds out. He's going to be super stoked to speak to you guys about it. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. I still can't quite believe it was real, to be honest. It was very, very bizarre.
It was bizarre. It was. And when we was there, I found it very nerve-wracking, just being face-to-face with complete legends of the game. These two are some of the best we've seen. Yeah, seeing them in person and just sort of staring into their eyes was a bit daunting for me. But it was a great experience nonetheless.
That's fantastic, mate. I know. It's just weird, isn't it? Two absolute legends. The first people you interviewed live are two people who are 7th and 10th in the top earners list of all time tennis prize money. So not bad start. Hopefully we continue in that vein. Hey, we just have to tackle the top 6 now.
Well, you've gone downhill from there, but okay, we can go.
We're doing all right.
So with you, Gill, what's your plans then? Do you have any plans to come over to the UK anytime soon?
I would love to. I mean, there's nothing. I can't say I have any set in stone plans, but I know you're doing the Challenge JG thing.
So you've already read my mind.
Yeah, I'd love to get on the court with you, and we can do some battle. Maybe have a little bit of a war. But yeah, no plans that are official, but we'll see. We'll see.
Just one thing. If we are to play, I'm happy for you to go as hard as you want, but I just do not want no analysis from you on my tennis technique. Because you could really rip me to shreds. I could literally put my racket in my bag and never take it out after you finish with me, I think.
Yeah, I could understand that request, and maybe instead of giving the analysis to your face, I'll just like make a video, maybe, and then you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure I'll
good.
be sent it. So
I think we'll call that one "Getting Grilled by Gill." I think we'll call that. But no, mate, great to have you on. I know we were saying briefly before we came on, this is turning into like a annual, like a Christmas sort of event for us three. I sort of look forward to it, and hopefully we can just keep doing it next year. Maybe we'll have some nice outfits or something we'll be wearing. Can all have a nice Santa hat or something going on.
Let's keep it going. I like it.
So let's get into it. Talking about the tennis, enough of all of us. We're going to just sort of start off, obviously, with January. And in January, on the ATP, we had sort of the first event of the year, Delray Beach, Hubert Hurkacz, absolute beast, it turned out, in the States. Sebastian Korda, the runner-up. I remember us doing the watch-along at the time. Hurkacz has been a great player, but he was, I don't know, it's not really hit the heights the last few seasons. This year, he certainly did, and he started off very well in Delray.
Yeah, that was the start of things. I remember, we were kind of aware that Hurkacz had that in him.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think Korda was like was actually more of a surprise, and their runs were spectacular. The final was a little bit disappointing because it just seemed like Korda was injured, and that's my main memory from that. Is that Korda couldn't quite give his best, but it really foreshadowed the rest of the year, obviously, for Hurkacz, because not only did he have a ton of success in general, but in the American hardcourt tournaments, that was his bread and butter, and it all started there.
Yeah, agreed. He was so good, and he got better and better as the year went on. Moving on to another event, and that was sort of February. I know we had Alex de Minaur. He won the Atlanta Open. I didn't watch much of that, if I'm honest. I don't think it was one to really talk about. So I'm going to move straight into February and the ATP Cup, where another thing what happened a lot throughout the year. We should have seen, if we should have looked at these early indicators, we would have seen what was in store for the rest of the year, and that is the Russian dominance in team events. We saw they ended the year and they started the year winning events, and they won the ATP Cup.
Incredible.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I did like a tier. I'm trying to find it now. I'm in my Google Drive.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, how funny is it though that when they started the year, obviously, I know we said it about 1 million times this year. We had Aslan Karatsev on the podcast. Yeah, everyone saw it as well. Yeah, but that's not the point I'm going to make. The point there was, their team was so strong going into the ATP Cup that Medvedev just kept going, oh, we got a secret weapon for you. Oh, we got a secret weapon for you. Like, we don't know if we're going to have to use it, but if we do, see what. And then Australian Open happened, and then we obviously saw what did happen with Aslan Karatsev. So Medvedev knew, and he was hinting, he was dropping the hints.
That secret weapon as well, you could argue, this is my opinion, could even be a bit more dangerous than an Andrei Rublev at times. So Aslan Karatsev is a nice sort of trick to have up your sleeve.
Oh, yeah, massively. I mean, he's just, I think the thing that he brought to the tour that everybody loved at that time was just fearlessness on the court. Someone who's just willing to go for every single shot. And we've seen it with Rublev, but it seemed to be off both wings. It seemed to be his backhand and his forehand.
The king of the drive volley.
Exactly, the drive volley. And that was it. I mean, everybody couldn't get enough of it. Just watching someone walk on court, he made tennis look easy. It was weird. Everything he hit turned to gold, it seemed, in that little spell at the beginning of the year. And they saw it firsthand, didn't they, the Russian team, like behind the scenes. They knew. Yeah,
they certainly did. That was pretty cool. And it's not only that. I think it's a little bit different from Rublev because Karatsev probably takes the ball a hair earlier, even though Rublev takes it early. But the angles that he hits, he cuts off the ball and hits these sharp angles. And you're right, the backhand, especially, you don't see a lot of righties able to break the sideline as easily as Karatsev does on his cross-court backhand. I think as the year went on, his forehand regressed a little bit, but the backhand is so world class. And yeah, the drive volleys, again, just like he's inside the court so frequently because he's such a baseline hugger. And as soon as you float a ball defensively, he'll literally take it out of the air. It was an incredible thing to watch. And just with Russia, what a fun group. Like the personalities there. I mean,
it's great.
It's so hard not to eat it up, right?
It's so different, though. Do you not think? Sorry, JG. I was going to say, like, you've got Medvedev, who's like this, I wouldn't say clown, but a joker, let's say. And then you've got the other side of it, Karatsev. You can't even get a word out of him. It's just like, like complete opposites, but so entertaining.
Yeah, Rublev is a bit funnily awkward at times as well. And I love their sort of relationship they have. With Medvedev sort of mocking him at the Laver Cup and sort of going off on each other. I quite like that dynamic. But the question I wanted to ask you, Gill, was Russia. I'm sure we can all agree on this. Russia is the strongest sort of nation right now in tennis on the men's side. Agreed?
100%. And I was just looking at the ATP Cup prediction document where I power ranked all 24 players.
So you're reading my mind every time. My next question was, who is the closest to them? So
and so Medvedev I had as the number 2 player in the field. I had Rublev as the number 5 player in the field. I mean, nobody even comes remotely close to that as a top 2. But then you have Karatsev and Khachanov, who had a pretty good year himself behind those guys. There is nobody close. And second in ATP Cup was Spain. But I think since then, Italy has climbed the ladder a bit. And obviously, if you're looking at who has the best 1-2 punch under the age of 21, you'd probably look to Italy's combo of Musetti and why am I Sinner?
Berrettini?
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Go down the list.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same. I was going to go Italy as my second. I think they are the best of the rest. But with Djokovic, you always need to be careful. Djokovic can carry Serbia, but there's just they're lacking. Let's be honest.
With the Russians as well, there's one thing that you got to always remember is even though they're all amazing singles players, you got Karatsev and Rublev. They won a doubles title in Qatar, didn't they, at the beginning of the year? So they're decent in the doubles. Even though they're singles players, they can still do it on the doubles court as well. And they can make their selections even greater by having more singles abilities in that team. It's a bit scary.
They're all young too, aren't they?
Karatsev about, was he 20?
Well, Karatsev's 28 now.
Yeah.
But besides him, they're all young. And speaking of doubles, mixed doubles final, all Russian.
Yeah.
At the Olympics.
What a year for Russia. I mean, I think that those players, we're going to be seeing more of them come through. It's surely guaranteed. I mean, the way that things are looking on the tour, it seems so many sports have really, really good Russians in the sports. I think it's just going to be a matter of time until we see the next one coming out of there. Just excited to see who it's going to be.
Yeah. It's a cycle, though. It's always a cycle, right? Spain was the dominant nation of the 2010s. I'd say the 90s was probably a dominant generation for the US.
Definitely.
So these things, they always and then Sweden, if you go back further, it always seems like there's an expiration date on it,
Yeah.
Sadly.
We're just waiting for Team GB, maybe the next 10 years.
they're coming back. Don't you worry about it. Yeah, but with Team US, I was going to say they're sort of coming back a little bit now. At least they've got some great players that are coming through with TFO and Taylor Fritz, players like that. So it's exciting. Brooksby.
Yeah, and sort of sticking to February. I don't know if Ben's got anything to add for the women, or have I gone past his date? We're going to do this. I've got the ATP up. Ben's got the WTA, and we're going to go like that, and we're just going to interchange and just do a bit of both when we feel like it.
Well, I mean, in February that we had, at the start of the year, we had Sabalenko. She managed to grab a 500 in Abu Dhabi against Kudermetova. So she started the year strong. And we were sort of had all our hopes
Yeah.
hung on Sabalenka for the Australian Open. Everyone was thinking, oh, God, she can't lose. Sabalenka, look at her. She's just a powerhouse. And then we sort of saw it all a bit unravel, didn't we, in all the Grand Slams, which is a bit of a shame. But
again, it just seems more of the same from Sabalenka. But let's stick to that Grand Slam, and that is the Australian Open.
Yeah.
And on the women's, really, for me, if I had to pick out a match, it was the Osaka Muguruza one. We covered it on the channel. It was sort of a final before the final. Whoever won that one, you sort of felt would go on to win it. That's just how I felt. I don't know if other people did. And it was a great match. Yeah, it was Ben had Muguruza pre-tournament. I had Osaka, and it turned out to be a really special one. Osaka did come through. What's your thoughts, Gill?
Yeah, that definitely felt like a turning point, especially because Muguruza, until the Charleston injury, after the Australian Open, she kind of proved her point, JG, because she went on an absolute tear and went on a couple of titles. It was really the injury that derailed her. So you have to kind of look at the form there and assume that, yeah, she was in really good shape to make a run. Osaka gets through that match in an incredible comeback, and it just felt like the classic Naomi Osaka in a major, almost gets through a tight one and then kind of becomes this absolute fireball. And it's hard to touch her when she feels completely confident on a hard court.
I couldn't agree more. She's a scary prospect. It's just very sad, obviously, all the things that have happened this year with Osaka. All of her skills have been overshadowed by all the other stuff, which is all the off court and all the interview stuff and the mental health. And all you can really say is we just hope she sorts that side out, because we know that she's probably got tons more Grand Slams in her if she plays that way and keeps her mental side of her game good. But yeah, an absolute beast. JG picked her for the Australian Open. Good selection, mate.
Yeah, well, I think it was pretty safe, mate, to be fair. It wasn't the most wildest selection in the world. I'm not going to take too much praise for that. But moving on to the men's, this one, I think I'm going to start with Rafael Nadal Tsitsipas in that really that was a big turning point in that match. Rafa was playing, I have to remember now all of the things, but I remember there was a set where he hardly lost a single point on serve, went to the tiebreak, then he had a volley at the net, which didn't go to plan. Tsitsipas ended up winning that set and then coming back from 2 sets down to take the match and then play Medvedev in the semis.
I think that was the third set, JG. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that was the third set. So I think Rafa was up 2 sets to love at the time.
Yeah.
Finish line was right there. I think he felt his body going on him, because the 4th set and the 5th set, not to take anything away from Steph, but they were very weary sets from Nadal. He was just not explosive physically. And I think he felt in his body that he needed to win that 3rd set. It was a weird choky tiebreak from him.
It was,
It didn't make much sense at the time until you realized, then it started to make more sense. Oh, he felt his gas tank going. And why did that happen? I think you have to look back to his preparation, the fact that he had to pull out of all the warm-ups because his back wasn't well enough to play. That doesn't just mean, he's not playing matches. That means he's missing time in the gym. He's missing time training on the practice court. And I think he just didn't go into the tournament at 100%, because we know that Rafa, even at his age, I'm pretty sure when he's fully fit, he's very prepared to go 4 or 5 sets, but in that match, he just wasn't. And I feel like the back really put him at a disadvantage coming in.
Yeah, I totally agree. But there's part of me that feels, I don't know, it's a little bit harsh on when we're always talking about, like, when the big 3 lose, we always tend to talk about them and we tend to shy away from an incredible performance by Tsitsipas, which sort of, it got his year off to an amazing start, and we know
it didn't have that feel though, Ben. That match, it really didn't. I don't think it was much to do with Seth. It's just the younger guy against someone who's a bit old and knackered on the court.
But he still had to get it over the line though, and we hadn't seen that from Steph before. I don't think really get it over against one of the big players, and I think that set him in good stead for the next few, it was a couple of months. I think he was just nearly unstoppable especially when we got onto the clay courts. He looked nearly unbeatable until that Djokovic match, to be honest. But it is what it is. Rafa, we just have to hope he comes back, don't you? And then we don't get any of these. Oh, was it because of injury? Was it because I don't want that to be the thing that you take away from every Rafa loss. Was it because he was injured? And we can't credit the winner of any of the matches. So it's like that a lot recently, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
Well, we'll get to. I think that's some foreshadowing. We'll get to Roland Garros, right?
Ben's
Ben's
getting too excited too quickly. Steady on, son. We're still in February.
We are indeed.
On February at the Australian Open. We've got to talk about him. The main man, Novak Djokovic, did it again. Is this number? What was it? 18? I think it was.
Yeah,
number 18.
Yeah, that's right, mate.
And he won against Daniel Medvedev in the final. I remember talking about that match prior. I was looking at the bookies, sort of the odds, and it was very even. I think they had Medvedev as a marginal favorite or something bizarre.
They did. They did. And people got so mad at me, JG. I started my video and I said Medvedev was the favorite.
Yeah, no, I said the same. I started all of mine and I was getting so much hate. I think Medvedev's going to win the match. I
didn't pick him though.
I went out on a whim and said that, but it didn't.
I said after the match that Medvedev came in as the slight favorite. People got all mad. I'm like, this is a fact.
Yeah,
I didn't make this up.
It's crazy though when you think about it. Novak Djokovic, not a favorite in a Grand Slam final in Australia. When you put all them components together, it doesn't seem right. But that's just a fact. He wasn't the favorite.
It was a 19-match win streak, wasn't it, from Medvedev? Something like that.
I think it was more than that.
Was it more? I don't know. I'm just going to have a quick look. There you go. 5.
And one thing about that win streak is there were like an absurd amount of top 10 victories. 19
because
match
the ATP finals included in that. We beat everyone.
Yeah. So it was like like 12 top 10 wins in a 19-match win streak.
Yeah, incredible.
But Djokovic did do it, and it was very convincing in the end. That final was not really much to talk about. It wasn't much of a match. It was just dominance from Djokovic, and credit to him. And it sort of was the story of his year, really. And didn't stop after that point. And moving on, is there anything left you want to say about the Australian Open? We've got some people in the chat, and they were talking about all the quarantine. Of course, we had COVID with rife. It's back again now. And there's been some funny moments. Tom Lazar here talking about his favourite one was Cuevas in the room. I forget that video. I can't remember what it was.
He was hilarious. No, they were multiple. He became like a reality TV star.
Was it the TikToks he was doing?
It might have been Instagram videos.
Oh, Instagram.
Yeah.
I remember this one from Kathy, the drama of putting Save having to change her room because of the mice.
There was loads of them though, wasn't there? There was people playing like they had mattresses against the wall and they were like doing like some proper like hard hitting forehands. It's pretty crazy.
And then you remember some of the top players were in Adelaide.
Yeah, that's right.
With like, they could bring all their coaches on the court. They had balconies. And they had to tell the players in Adelaide, stop posting on social media. You're pissing everybody off.
Yeah. I remember the crazy coincidence as well with Karatsev that he missed his flight, which was the COVID flight. And if he had got on that first flight, he would have been in that locked in a room. But because he missed it, it meant he was able to train normally for the Australian Open that he did so well in. So...
And talking about Karatsev, we forgot about him. What an event he had.
Exactly.
In brief, we were talking about him throughout this podcast. I know we've got so much to get through, but this was the first time we see him on the main stage, showing what he's able to do. I believe he beat Schwartzman and Felix on his way.
And Dimitrov.
And Dimitrov as well, yeah.
And don't forget, the Gerasimov one was probably one of the most impressive. He gave him one game in 3 sets. Which I don't know anyone who's done that to Gerasimov really in the past. God knows how many years. He's normally we talk him up. We say he's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
not that day. Karatsev made him look distinctly average. So, but yeah,
sticking to February.
Yeah,
and now I want to talk about the clay courts because there was a bit of clay court tennis going on, getting ready for Roland Garros. And this man here, do you know what I'm going to talk about, Ben?
What on the clay courts?
You don't. It's Juan Manuel Cerundolo. You got the wrong Cerundolo. He won his first ATP title, before his brother. What do you know about him, Gill? Are you a fan?
Yeah, I am not an aficionado like you guys are, to be honest. I'm a fan. I would maybe consider myself that, but not to the level as you guys, Ben and JG. I really defer on the Cerundolo topic. I defer
Okay. No worries.
because you two are just such
Over
experts.
to you then, Ben. Pick up the pieces.
What's that? Well, I thought it was incredible. Obviously, he played Ramos Vinolas in that final, and it was in Cordoba, wasn't it? It was like the back-to-back weeks we had. Weren't we calling it the Diego Schwartzman Open? I think that was John Silk's words, not ours.
Yeah, there was no way Diego Schwartzman cannot win this event, and he didn't win it.
Yeah, and he didn't win it. And this was the one Cerundolo won. And then after that, Schwartzman played Francisco Cerundolo in the final, but he only played 3 matches, I think. And I think Francisco went through qualifying, like he told us in the one. He said he played about 5 3-set matches in a row and got to the final against Schwartzman and was pretty burnt out. But that was a great time, that beginning of the year, seeing some fresh blood on the tour. First ATP title for obviously a guy who ended up in the young next gen finals by the end of the year and in the top 100. So incredible for the younger brother.
Yeah, I'm so pleased for both of them. They're both so good, and now people know what they're capable of doing. I expect them to keep pushing on. I want to see them play some doubles. I know you spoke to Francisco, Ben. You sort of indicated, when are we going to see some more brothers in the doubles? We always love to see it. I think they could do quite well.
I think
got that telepathic style. You never know.
I said I think they're going to be the next Bryan brothers, didn't they? Who knows? On clay, maybe.
Big boots to fill. But moving on into March now. I don't know if I'm missing any of yours, Ben, because I know you're not.
on the women's side, we should touch on. There were obviously a couple of there was all those strange events that were just sort of popping up after the Australian Open. I remember we had one that was 250.
What about Loserville?
Was that the Phillip Island Trophy, Loser?
No, there was one where just everyone who went out in the Australian Open just was dumped into this other event while it was going on.
Yeah, I know. It was a bit bizarre, wasn't it? But the Adelaide one definitely wasn't that. That was a 500, and Iga was the champion there. She was beating Bencic in the final. Good start to the year for Świątek. So that was exciting. I don't think we managed to cover much of that, to be honest, though, on the channel. But move down to March.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about this one because this is a big one. It's the Qatar Open. The return of Roger Federer. Is that right? I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Roger Federer returns. We did a big thing on the channel. We were super pumped to see what state is he going to be in. Ended up losing to the eventual champion, Basilashvili.
Yeah.
It was, if you look at like many of Federer's losses, they worked out this way, where it was a worse loss at the time than it turned out to be, right?
Yeah,
Andujar, that happened with Andujar, right? He did he win the title or make the final?
He did something special afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously he upset Dominic Thiem, one of the upsets of the year.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the at Roland Garros. But this was a case, Basilashvili would go on to win another title, make the final of Indian Wells. But at the time, he was coming off of that. I think he ended 2020 0-8. I mean, he couldn't win a match against anyone.
It was awful.
Couldn't win a set.
How many losses in a row was it in 2020? 12 was it? Yeah, I think it was bizarre.
It was more than 10, sure.
It was getting horrific, his run of losses. So I'm glad he turned that one around, because we know he's a top 10 player, I think, on his day. Definitely.
I think you're bigging him up too much. Ben's a bit. He's always been a bit too much of him. You should see his brackets. He has Basilashvili always semi-final or thereabouts.
I rate him, mate. I rate him.
I understand what you're saying. He's a big hitter, but he's nowhere near that level. But he can, on his day, he can be very dangerous to anyone. I'll give you that. But his day doesn't come too many times, unfortunately.
When I saw him take it to Zverev in Germany and he beat Zverev on the clay in Germany, I just was so impressed by that. I've been just a massive fan since. I think it was just, you don't see many.
I think everyone always has their players who they rate more than anyone else. And I think for Ben, that is definitely his man.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a few of them, but that's definitely his one.
He's pretty captivating. I mean, the way he's got the biggest ground strokes in the world. Just period. It's really very little debate about it. And it's just weird because his serve is not big. And that there's a lot of issues with his game, obviously the consistency, obviously you got to put the ball in the court. His serve just doesn't help him out that much. He's not that fast. But if you're looking at
all right, Gill, go steady on him.
No. But the other way here is like
he's not that fast. He's not good at tennis. He's got a terrible haircut.
He's got the biggest groundies on tour. I mean,
they are massive.
They're the biggest there is. It doesn't matter who you put it up against.
Over 90 mile an hour every time, nearly.
Exactly. So I mean,
scary.
Think
is it
about
a bigger forehand than Berrettini?
No, I don't think so. But it's a bigger backhand. Probably by about 5-10% than anyone.
It's definitely Berrettini.
Well, we won 2 titles this year, so Andy obviously got to the final of Indian Wells. So a success, considering his 2020 was an absolute disaster class, where I don't think it could have gone worse really for him during 2020. He's rebounded amazingly. I don't think anyone expected it. I don't think it started with that Roger Federer win.
He's got I'll just say blanket here. I think he's probably has a top 5 backhand in the world.
Wow, you heard it here.
Look,
that's the title, Jordan. Gill says, that's Philly, top 5 in the world.
Yeah, I'm taking out the backhand.
We'll edit that
out. I'm comfortable with that.
That's it, mate.
We've got Kathy in the chat going, Gill is the true analyst. The first analyst comment there. I thought that's the first of many. And while we're in March, there's just a few I want to skim over. Aslan Karatsev, he won the doubles in Qatar with Rublev, like Ben touched on. We then had Daniel Medvedev winning in Marseille, beating Herbert in the final. Garin won in Santiago in Chile. That's the Garin Open. He was able to win that one, beating Bagnis in the final. And then in the middle of March, this is one I do want to talk about because we covered it on the channel. Aslan Karatsev winning Dubai, beating Lloyd Harris in the final. What an unexpected final to begin with. And how well did Aslan play that event? He was really good.
Go for it, Gill.
Yeah, that was kind of the cementing of Aslan Karatsev's status there, right? It was kind of after the run to the semifinal in Australia. I think that most were on board with the idea that Karatsev was here to stay and that he was at the very least a top 30 level player, especially the way he was tearing through the challengers at the end of 2020. But that run, I think, was really important for him to actually lift a big trophy on tour. And Lloyd Harris had an insane run based on just the players he had to go through. It was Team Krajinovic, Nishikori, Shapovalov.
Yeah,
wow.
Insane.
Yeah, I remember Team and Shapa. I couldn't remember the others, but yeah, I remember it was a pretty crazy run.
Yeah,
but yeah, he got schooled, unfortunately, and it seemed like it was lightning was striking twice for Lloyd Harris. The beginning of the year again, obviously the year before he was in the final against Andrei Rublev. I forget, I think it was in Australia though, and he got bageled in that final and beaten in straight sets. This time he faced another Russian and got battered by Karatsev instead. But Lloyd Harris, still a quality player, and at least he's now a sort of household name on the tour. He's really worked hard, worked himself up from the challengers. We big fans of Lloyd Harris. He's got a good button. Everybody quite likes the Lloyd Harris button as well. He was the first one of the ASMR style buttons with the whispers.
I got to be honest with you. I have no idea what you're saying right now.
I didn't think you would. I didn't think you would. Don't worry. Well, there was no button. There was no buttons on the intro, so you wouldn't have got to see it. We'll get you your own button one day, Gill. Don't you worry.
Like a button that you wear on your shirt.
No, when you come onto the stream, we'll have a button, and then it'll be a little song I'll make for you.
So do you know when we have a match and we have a player button and we press that little feature and they do some weird dance and song, we call that a button on Game 12.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a little video clip that plays every time that we get excited about something that player's done. We get to press the button. But anyway,
another title, Ben. Game to Love explains to what Gill what a button is.
That's
what
it.
Game to Love button is.
That's right. Kathy saying play a button. Everybody wants Gill to see a button for the first time. I can upload a button for you maybe in a little bit. I just wanted to touch on the women's side because I know that we're going deep on Karatsev and the men's side. Obviously, at the beginning of March, we had quite an incredible run for Kavitzova. She did great in Qatar and absolutely blitzed Muguruza in the final, 6-2, 6-1. I don't know many people.
I don't have much recollection of this.
I think it went under the radar a little bit but the people she beat in that tournament, Pavlyuchenkova, Kontaveit, who at the time you probably thought, oh, probably not. Look at the end of the year. Now that seems amazing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, Pavlyuchenkova, obviously the final of Roland Garros as well. And Pegula, and then Muguruza in the final, which was her easiest match somehow, 6-2, 6-1. But she did well. She was great, obviously, Kavitzova in the French Open, wasn't she? She got to the semis against Kenin before she went out the year before. So she was sort of in some good form, but not on hard court. So I don't know. That sort of gave me a false sense of security, really, about Kavitzova in the year, and I ended up having her going deep in Grand Slams, and it really backfired on me, as we know from some of my draw previews. Apologies, anybody who followed my picks on that. I went with the old school players this year, Gill. Didn't work.
Yeah, she's a difficult read, though. I understand. She's gotten me before as well.
Yeah.
Who'd she lose to at Wimbledon? I thought she was one of my
this
favorites.
year.
Yeah, I remember
there
her
was a
loss
player
at
to
Wimbledon.
watch.
Sloane Stephens, first round.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah, disappointing. But
Any
Sloane
more,
had a good one.
Moving on your one.
On the women's side, well, we had Muguruza. Well, we're skipping past someone that does need a shout because we're obviously the future of tennis. Clara Towson. That's one button everybody does like on the channel, the Clara Towson button. Yeah, she grabbed a title in Lyon and announced herself on the scene, beating Goljevic in that final. And someone we can't sing the praises of enough, Clara Towson. Obviously, she picked up another title later on in the year against Raducanu in Chicago, I think it was. But I think it was a challenger, which not used to seeing those women's challenger events. They're strange. I was looking down the list, and it was like a rarity. Is this going to be like I don't know. Are you aware? Is this going to be a more regular thing going forward?
I think it was just a pandemic. Chicago, the whole Chicago thing was a little strange this year, and I don't know if it's coming back next year, but they had tons of events in the same place just for the convenience of all the players, and obviously the spots in the schedule were open for it. So I don't know if that's coming back.
Oh, that's sad. I was quite looking forward to it, to be honest, because I actually quite like the introduction because we love the challengers so much here on GTL. I just wanted to have challengers for the women's as well because it's nice to have that separation. Women's just have obviously the ITFs. I like that sort of that next level, but obviously they label them in different ways. But I'd quite like it to be challenger and then go on to the main WTA events. But that was a great event, though. We'll probably get to that later, though, when Towson grabs the second one.
Yeah, moving on to the end of March. I'm just going to briefly go over Acapulco. I didn't watch so much of that. Zverev beating Tsitsipas. With the timings in the UK, it was difficult for us to watch any of the matches live. But we did cover sort of some of the highlights and some of the post-match reactions. Did you have any thoughts on it? Because I don't have too many.
That was a very big one.
Mm.
It was a big one for Zverev, though. Probably one of the more underrated wins of his season because Tsitsipas is one of the head-to-heads that's bothered him. And I think the thing that was lacking for Zverev at that time was just a little bit of confidence with some wins over his actual rivals. You know, he had been beating kind of everyone else very consistently, but I think that one helped him out a lot. He served incredibly well in that match.
Yeah. Then to end the year, end the month.
All right.
We had
fast forward.
Let's go straight to the ATP finals. No, Miami Open. This is
Which month are you in? You still in?
It's the end of March, Ben. March.
Can we backtrack to the middle of March just a little bit? Because I know that we're sort of skipping past someone who I know you'd love to speak about as well, JG. And I can't have us just flying past. As we were in Acapulco, we have to talk about Monterrey and Leylah Fernandez winning her first WTA title, which is massive for her this year. And I think this is a good opportunity to give Gill an example of the button that we've all seen.
She don't care about what you say, Leylah Fernandez. She's feeling fine, Leylah Fernandez. She's doing it right, Leylah Fernandez. She's feeling fine tonight. It's Leylah Fernandez.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's the word.
And that's all Ben singing as well.
Give you a little number there, so you might have your own button one day, Gill. So
that's a good goal for maybe a New Year resolution. We're getting to that time of year.
That's it, mate. Well, that one, if only the button had been invented back then in Monterrey, she would have deserved it. She won the whole tournament without dropping a set. So she's really turned the corner this year. I'm sure we'll get onto that bit more when we get towards the US Open, but I had to drop that in there. Sorry, JG, because it was a big one for her.
I'm glad you brought it up because we definitely will be talking about Leylah. So it's a good little bit of foreshadowing before
favorite.
We do. Oh, we'll have a whole segment, maybe 20 minutes we'll dedicate to her. But
20 minutes.
Moving on to Miami, Hubert Hurkacz yet again. We're in America, and he wins a Masters, his first Masters title, beating Jannik Sinner in the final. This was a big turning point for me as well. It sort of showed Sinner is able to now go deep in big events, and it also showed Hubert Hurkacz is incredible when it comes to playing in America on the hard courts.
Yeah, Hurkacz, I think the X factor for him is how much he's moving forward, because when it comes to his ability to attack short balls, there's not much natural power. His forehand is one of the slower forehands in the top 50, but if he can come forward behind it, his volleying is so good, so elite that to me, when he's net rushing and he's using his big 6'5", his wingspan and his athleticism at net, and you combine that with the way he moves and the way he serves, it's such a scary package. So amazing run to the final there. And then he managed the nerves better than Sinner in that final, because that was a big spot for each, the biggest matches of both of their respective careers. And certainly Hurkacz was a little bit more prepared to deal with his nerves in that moment because Sinner didn't play his best and Hubie did.
I think we've sort of seen, I know it's a bit harsh on Sinner that we've seen some of this, the occasion getting to him a little bit at the big moments, which is pretty sad. I'm sort of forgetting the latest one. Was it in Paris when he?
Yeah,
I can't. Was it in Paris where he lost from like a winning
Hugo
position?
Gaston, isn't it?
Was it Gaston that beat him? I can't remember anyway. But whoever it was, he's still so young, and we can't just judge him. I think on based upon those, because it's all a learning curve. He's won quite a few titles this year. I think this year's been a great growth for him. Hubie Hurkacz, I echo what Gill says. I'm not the analyst that you are, Gill, but I think his backhand for me is distinctly average. And you might say the similar to like a Berrettini or something like that. It gets it back in play. You got a big serve. The forehand, not as powerful as Berrettini, but I think he's slightly more consistent, and his net plays by far
incredible.
Better.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
He relies on the serve. The first serve percentage isn't high. Hurkacz to me doesn't win.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do think the backhand is bothersome because it's so flat. It stays extremely low, and it doesn't miss very often. And you're right that it's not an offensive weapon. He's not going to hit a lot of winners from the baseline, especially when there's no opening down the line. It's more of a pace redirecting shot. But I do think that I do think it's super solid, and I wouldn't consider it a weakness because it's also super good defensively. He's got a good open stance backhand as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
So
Fair
thanks
enough.
for Kathy for clearing that up. You said, I think after the TFO match, Sinner is a different player. There you go. So
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I think the World Tour finals helped him as well a lot with confidence.
We've also got Tom in the chat saying, can we do a live stream to create the Gill button, crowdsource lyrics? We'll have to see what we can do with that one.
I like it. Send in your thoughts, what's rhyming with Gill Gross, and then I'll try and add those to a few lyrics, try and get
That's
a good
scary.
beat now. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
boy.
next time you come on, mate, there'll be you dancing around on the screen with a little with a little song. Yeah, right. So we had the Miami for the men, Miami for the women. Obviously, we can't forget that. Ashley Barty had a sort of injury ravaged year, yet she still ends up with a Grand Slam and 2 Masters titles to her name. And this one, I don't think anybody expected to see Andreescu in that final.
No, I didn't.
And probably because of the way they ended up going. And she ended up getting injured in that final, didn't she? And it was just a sort of retirement at 4-love in the second. I think Barty would have probably beaten her anyway. When she's on, she's on. There's probably not many that can mix it with her on the hard courts. I don't think Ash Barty. She beats herself if she loses. I don't think many people beat her. But what did you make of Ash Barty in that tournament? Just a brief summary. I know we've pushed for time. I know we're nearly an hour already. We're at March.
No, I mean, Andreescu kept going 3 sets with everyone she played in that tournament. Anisimova, Muguruza, Sorribes Tormo, Sakari, and then she just had nothing left. It was crazy gritty, though, just to get there. But yeah, I mean, the Barty Sabalenko rivalry, which became so important first half of the year.
We saw it so
the WTA Tour. Yeah. So Barty, again, on that occasion, that was the key match for her in that run that she won that one in 3.
Definitely.
On to April, one of my favorite months on the calendar. And I'm sure you'll know why. We have some big events. Monte Carlo, we've got Barcelona in there as well. The Serbia Open this year as well in Belgrade, which also saw some really good tennis. Starting with Monte Carlo, it sort of was the story of what we were going to see through the year. And that wasn't Rafael Nadal being sort of the best player on the clay. It was Stefanos Tsitsipas. I thought that, if we're being honest, prior to sort of that Roland Garros final against Djokovic, where Djokovic is Djokovic, you don't want to really include him. Tsitsipas, for me, as a big Rafa fan, was the best player I saw on clay that year. I thought he was just really, he stepped up his game big time.
No debate. I completely agree. He was the best player. Now, it's similar to, it reminded me of Team a couple of years back.
Agreed. Exactly what I was saying. I said, a quote I said, we've got now a new Prince of Clay. Dominic Thiem's sort of been pushed to the wayside. He's injured. He's going to be back.
Push
him out. And Tsitsipas is the new Prince of Clay, it seemed, this year.
Yeah, this year. In 2019, nobody was playing better clay court tennis than Dominic Thiem in Monte Carlo. And, well, Monte Carlo, he didn't win, but Barcelona and just that stretch, because recently it's taken Rafa a couple of tournaments to in the clay court season. Of course, 2020 was completely unconventional with just Rome and then Roland Garros in October. But yeah, it was kind of, Thiem was the best player on clay in 2019 for a portion, and Tsitsipas this year was that guy.
Yeah,
definitely
agreed.
was.
And with Rafa, the big story for me was his serving. That's what I was talking about more than anything. The double faults, the second serves. I was so scared. You can see in some of my reactions from them clips. Every second serve, I'm fearing the worst from him. And I just can't remember ever feeling that with Rafa. It just seemed just not the same as usual. We had that Tsitsipas match at the start with him in Australia, and him losing that the way from being 2 sets up. We don't really see that from him. and then this as well. It just seemed to be a bit of a strange year for him.
Didn't you say as well, I think at the back end of the year before, that Rafa had one of the best second serve, one of the best second serves in the game. I think we had some stats on it as well.
He did.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah. I mean, well, what was your thoughts on that, Gill?
I will say that second serve points won as a statistic is usually more of a reflection on, are you winning neutral baseline rallies? It's not always a reflection on how good is your second serve in isolation, because you're just getting into rallies, and of course Rafa's going to be up there with the best in the world in any neutral situation from the baseline. But absolutely, the serve was in a crisis, and also first serve percentage in some of these matches was a big issue. There had been a lot of tinkering with his technique since the start of 2019 with Carlos Moya. And I think that it was never really a problem for him until it seemed couple of tournaments where it just felt like the confidence was in a place where I have never really seen it with Nadal's serve.
No, me neither.
Shocking.
Shocking. God, that's a bit of a big word.
No, it was.
He can't wait to rip. He can't wait. The knife's in Rafa, and he always wants to push it a little deeper.
There we go.
He's seen his opportunity, and he's gone, you know what? I'm going to just stick the blade in a little bit more.
Well, I'll tell you what was more shocking than Rafa's serve in that was Djokovic's performance against Dan Evans in that tournament. That was, but I don't know how many. I think it was about 35 unforced. I can't even remember, but
it was strange.
It was
really
one of the
weird.
worst performances on clay from Djokovic. So not to take it away from Dan Evans, because he actually had a good tournament, but it was out of sorts. It looked like Rafa was having a mare on the other court.
Dan Evans on clay. And Dan Evans ever won on clay before?
It turned into like the British invasion on clay, didn't it? We had Norrie and Evans going mad on the clay courts. It's never been seen before. Don't know what was going on. What did you think, Gil, at that time when you saw British players winning on clay?
Yeah, I was shocked. No, I predicted that Djokovic would be upset in that event because it's too far away from Roland Garros, and it's right after vacation for him. So he's gonna obviously have a really hard off season. So good at being in top form come Australia. Hard physical ATP Cup, Australian Open. Then he's going to relax a little bit and get ready for what's going to be the toughest, most physical stretch of the season, which is going to be from the beginning of clay court season, Monte Carlo, up to the US Open. And I just don't think he's going to be in tip-top shape like he used to be in tip-top shape all season. And once you get old, you can't do that anymore. No. So is Monte Carlo going to be a good tournament for Djokovic for the rest of his career? I don't think so, because I think he's coming off a rest period there and still kind of working his way up in fitness.
Will he even play all of these tournaments is another question as well, because the main thing for him, he's got 37 Masters. Does he need any more? Probably. He just would like a few more slams just to get himself away from a couple of other guys who are sort of level with him.
He's only one ahead of Rafa in Masters, though.
I know, but there's still part of me that just thinks that he's got that one. And if it's a question of playing and doing well in the slams, sacrifice I think we've seen him do it this year already. So I think he would sacrifice Masters events now. I think it's the slam race for him from now on. And he could be dropping points left, right, and center. But as long as he gets that big number next to his name, I think that's his main concern now. I think he's said it as well in some interviews. That's his main focus.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree with that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Barcelona.
He didn't play Indian Wells, for example.
Yep.
Exactly.
Sure. So Barcelona, 19th of April, Rafael Nadal, Stefanos Tsitsipas, one of my favourite matches of the year. It was a really good one. Evenly matched, let's be honest. Tsitsipas had his opportunities. I think he had some match points in that one.
Yep.
Rafa just fought so hard, and I think when he won that, I remember saying in the commentary, it's like he just won Roland Garros. I've never seen him celebrate a win so much, which wasn't a Masters or a Slam. So it just showed how much it meant to him, and I was really pleased about his performance to be able to get it over the line against which was really tough opposition. Tsitsipas was no joke. for these few months, for sure. Definitely on the clay.
Definitely no joke. And the one thing I thought about that match as well, I know that, well, obviously he started that tournament very shaky, didn't he, Rafa? And we were like, oh no, is this going to be like that same thing with the serve again? Because he went to 3 with Ivashka, 3 with Nishikori, and then it suddenly beat Nori, beat Booster, and then the final, it was like prime Rafa was back. But do you think that like having that sort of match, like it was a grueling one? How many hours? It was close to 4 hours, surely that one. And having those before leading up to the French Open, do you think that's taken a real impact on his longevity at the French Open? Because we know how bad the injury was already. Playing those type of matches is not going to help that foot injury. We know that for sure. And he wasn't going to give it up. There was no chance. Rafa was winning that Barcelona Open.
Yeah, in the long term, I don't think playing 2.5 hours versus 3.5 hours is going to matter, 3 weeks later, like in a Roland Garros final against Djokovic. I think something is a little bit more, something like that with the foot injury. It's going to kind of be cumulative no matter what you do and how long you play. I just felt like Rafa was in a place where he did have some doubts, and that's why the reaction was so emotional, because he showed himself that he's still there. It was an amazing match, and yeah, as you said, I mean, there was nothing between them.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was awesome. Another match which was pretty good was happening at exactly the same time. I know Ben was jumping in between the streams. Berrettini beat Karatsev. That was a really good one. We then had Cam Norrie get into a final the week later in Portugal. Ramos Vinolas beating him in the final.
Just rewind a little bit.
Well, we're going to have to get through some. Ben,
I know. But let's just, I can't not mention Karatsev beating Djokovic there. That was obviously one of the biggest results. We are just a quick mention. We don't have to go into detail on it.
It was a crazy one because he beat Djokovic in Serbia. We didn't really see it happening, but then was unable to beat Berrettini in the final. It come down to a tie break though, so it was pretty tight. Moving on.
There's always Belgrade 2 though.
Yeah, there's always Belgrade 2.
Yeah, they set up another one for him, didn't they?
He's lost that one. Let's give him one more chance.
I know, the Karatsev beat him in front of all of his family, friends, everything. Oh, it must have been horrible, but that's what Karatsev does.
Norrie got to the final against Ramos Vinolas. That's his first sort of sign to show Cam Norrie is here and he's playing well. I thought he should have done better to win that final, if I'm honest. I think did he take the first? Yeah, he took the first set. And he had opportunities, I feel, to do better. Went to a tiebreak, very close though. And then your guy, Ben, Bastiasvili, picking up another title at the end of April, beating Struff. That was in Munich.
Just to quickly touch on the women's at the back end of April, we had that back and forth with Barty, Sabalenka. Obviously, Barty beating Sabalenka in Stuttgart in the final in 3 sets. Then the reverse, that's like they bageled each other like in finals, which was crazy. And then Sabalenka winning in Madrid to beat Barty there. So that was a great rivalry though at the beginning of the year, like you said earlier, Gil. All right, to move to May, shall we? Because I know that
let's get into May, and this is another special month. Some more clay court tennis. Starts off with Madrid, and the altitude, of course, is going to favour the big servers, which it did. We had Zverev, Berrettini in the final. It was a lot of big serving, and Zverev was just really good. I think this is going to be an event we see him win for many years to come.
Yeah, you nail it. The conditions are so good for him in terms of a surface where you can certainly defend on, which helps Zverev. He's not as good on, a speedy grass or something that's where he can't really use his defense. You can certainly use it in Madrid, but if you hit a good serve, it's not coming back in the altitude, and it helps the speed of shot. And, in terms of the final against Berrettini, it's almost an impossible matchup for Matteo, because it's almost like he's playing someone in Zverev who can serve with him, but Berrettini just can't bring the other side of the game, the defensive, the scrambling, the winning the neutral baseline rallies. He's not going to do it against Zverev. And obviously Zverev is an underrated returner as well.
Yeah.
You have that kind of line of demarcation with Berrettini. He beats a lot of guys who can't touch his serve, but as soon as he plays the elite players, and there's not a lot of them who can drag him into those rallies, Matteo that is, they're able to get the better of him. So it wasn't a final that I felt was like super high quality. Zverev had some double fault issues in that one as well, and gave away the second set in a tiebreak, but was the better player throughout.
I was going to say with Zverev as well this year, which I know we've seen signs of it in the past, but not the past like couple of years. His recoverability skills on courts have just, for me this year, have been so much better, and that's just been like one of the key things I think for him this year has been he just gets everything back. And he always, that's the one thing we've always said about like the big three or big four, if you include Murray, everything comes back. And he's been doing that this year. And that's why I think he's had so much success. He's never say die attitude on court. And that shows his desire. I'm excited for next year. If he keeps that up, I think could see big things.
Yeah, the week later we had Rome. This one was the 57th meeting between Rafael Nadal and Djokovic. The reason I remember that is because it's my favorite number and it fell on my birthday. So it was easy to not forget. And of course, Rafa was able to win for my birthday, beating Djokovic in the final. Another great match and another one that goes down in history.
Huge run of points, right? Rafa won like 18 points in a row. Not that many. A crazy amount, like 13, 12 points in a row.
Yep.
Went on a great fiery run. Just dominating on his own serve, especially with his first forehand. And Djokovic did not return well enough in the third set against Rafa's serve. Nadal was getting service winners. He was getting looks at +1 forehands and doing early damage there, and also returning incredibly well on Djokovic's first serve. So it was kind of it was a really strong performance from Rafa, especially in that stretch, end of the second set, middle of the third.
Yeah, agreed. And I'd like to add as well, I thought Djokovic, this was his, prior to this, even parts of that final as well, this was some of his best tennis we saw in the year. Obviously, it got better as it went on, but this was the first time we saw him seriously play. I remember that match against Tsitsipas. That was ridiculous. That level was so high. You could probably say that was maybe one of the top 5 matches. I think it could even be top 3. I don't want to go too crazy of the year. I thought it was so good. The level was incredible. I remember watching it just speechless at times.
Was that the one that had the break in it as well?
That had a break in it as well, yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a great match, that one. It was a great tournament. I know we really enjoyed Rome, didn't we, on Game to Love?
Yeah. I think it was close. It was right up there. It cemented it as my favorite Masters event. I love the setting, and I just think that they're not stadium, but they're sort of like amphitheaters that they have there for watching tennis. I just think it's so classic and just. I don't know. The tennis lived up to it this year. I mean, it was just incredible. And obviously that final, we had our famous match point argument, which, you can see if you go on the channel. There's us arguing about the shot clock machine. Obviously, it looked like Rafa went 1 second over the shot clock.
I'm going to ask Gill right now. Does Rafael Nadal get preferential treatment with the shot clock?
With the shot clock? No.
No. There we go.
I think...
What do you mean?
No,
I'm not going to have that. I'm not.
No. Having this. I think he might have gotten preferential treatment before the shot clock, but I don't think umpires are calling the score later because Rafa's on the court.
No, but should there not be, if the shot clock goes down to 0, it should be just like, there you go, you've got warning. Because if you're in the middle of your no, but he wasn't in motion. No, but he's not, because it wasn't. It just went
I don't
0. It went out. And it was a second. Then he threw the ball up and served, and it was at 30 all, and it set up match point. And I was like, that's obviously gone over the time. Come and say something. And he's like, no, it didn't happen. I was like,
basically, there was a little glitch in the board because there was 1 second left, and it took a second to go, and Ben got a bit confused. So
maybe let's blame the broadcasters. They probably messed it up.
Yeah, let's blame them. Moving on,
anyway.
Another one I want to speak about, Geneva, Casper Ruud beating Shapovalov. This was the famous one we touched on earlier with Andahar. What did he do? Did he do something in this one, Andahar? I believe he beat someone. I forget who it was.
Was it Federer?
Did he beat Federer? That's it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Some
the
guy.
guy.
I knew. It's always hard to remember all the different things. But yeah, Andahar beat Federer, and Casper Ruud ended up winning in Geneva.
Well, I want to touch on one that I know we sort of brushed past here because we were in Rome, and I don't think we can brush past that final in Rome on the women's side because I've never seen a more embarrassing final in my whole entire life. Was Iga Swiatek winning 6-love against Karolina Pliskova, who had a good year after that, which I don't know what happened in that match, but I did a watch along for it, didn't I? I think it lasted 25 minutes. And it was, I've never seen someone so disinterested in a final. And then she went around Rome posting pictures, just going like, "Hey, I'm here."
On Instagram, having the time of her life.
What were the comments like, Ben, on those?
Terrible. Well, don't go on Twitter. God, I bet she would switch their phone off after posting those. God, it was bizarre, though. It's almost as like she had a flight booked and she had this amount of time to get around the city to see some of the sites. Just thought, I'll go down there, do a few bits, go down the Vatican. There you go. One with the Pope. And there we go on the flight home.
I like her, but she's not someone who is going to scrap and claw her way back in a match that she feels like she can't win.
Exactly right.
And may I ask you a question, Gill? Why do you like her? Because I find it very difficult to like her.
I like her off the court as a personality. I think she's low key funny. You know, she's not a goofball. She's not like, you know, gonna smile a lot and make a lot of jokes, but she's got like a dry, sarcastic humor that I kind of appreciate.
So you like her off the court, but when she's on it, you're not a big fan.
Well, on the court, you know, I can't say I dislike her either.
She's pushing Gill.
That's fine. On the court. I could understand. You know, if you're not entertained by her game, I kind of like I think it's a bit of a breath of fresh air on the women's side when you have some big serve, short point, first strike players. I think on the men's side, there's probably too many of them. But on the women's side, I kind of like it.
I think Gill needs to work in politics, mate. He's done a good sidestep on that.
No, he's done well. Fair enough.
It's good, mate. Good analytics. But yeah, so we got that. Gill Gross hates Pliskova. Okay, no, I'm joking. But yeah,
I've been frustrated by her as well, though.
Frustrated.
Very frustrated watching.
I remember the match against Sakari at the U.S. Open. She did not win a return point the entire match, and she just did the same thing the entire time. And yes, she does that. It's crazy.
Even in the final against Barty at Wimbledon, there was spells in that one where I was just banging my head against the wall thinking, why do I have to watch this?
Well, the Sabalenka Pliskova one was a bit like that from both sides as well. You're just like...
No, it was just Sabalenka. She was ridiculous. Bottled the occasion. But we'll get on to Wimbledon. We're not even in July yet. We're still in May.
My word.
So in May, just touching on some of these, Tsitsipas beat Norrie. Norrie got to another final. You'd expect him to lose that one against Tsitsipas. He was playing so well. Korda beat Cecchinato. Korda winning. Is that his first? I think it is. Was that his first title? Yep, winning his first title. And then Belgrade 2 come about, and Djokovic was able to win this one. We did a podcast. Is it a mistake, Djokovic playing straight before Roland Garros? Is that going to affect him? He's playing straight away. But no, of course it didn't. He beat Molcan in the final and then just blitzed everyone until Roland Garros, the big semi-final, Rafael Nadal. They meet again, number 58.
Number 58. Yeah, exactly. And
big one, huh?
Let's I'm just going to go and try and level up on the women's side as well. Obviously, we had Swiatek won in Rome. Her closest opposition in Rome was Barbara Krejcikova, who nearly beat her in that tournament. And that was surely a sign of things to come as well. Because if we fast forward, we're now at the French Open. And she got to the final there and obviously won the whole damn thing. But Djokovic, obviously, Nadal, that's the match that probably everybody wants to hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's your take on that match, Gill? Because in brief, I don't know. I think we was treated to tennis from another level. We got to see a different sport played on that day. And I'll never forget it. There was spells in that first set where I was probably gloating a little bit, thinking, here we go, it's happening again.
Probably.
Rafa's going to be... I was definitely gloating. I thought it was all deja vu. I've been here before. It's the same as last year. Is Rafa going to get a bagel? I don't know. But it wasn't to be. And it was just, I'm just credit to Djokovic. He showed me that day another level altogether. And since, I've just got so much respect for him. Of course, I had respect anyway, but seeing what he was able to do was just remarkable.
Yeah, it was insane because down 5-love in that first set, Djokovic just continued to dig in and somehow grappled some momentum back, almost got back on serve in that first set. And, you know, just to have that's why you keep churning. That's why you don't give the setup if you're fit like Novak and you're not trying to conserve your energy. But the forehand that day for Djokovic was controlled so insanely well, especially on the cross-court angle, that I felt like he was able to basically force Nadal into open stance backhands outside the doubles alley or the tram line, whatever you call it, on such a consistent basis. It was insane. And that was the big, I think, tactical point from the match, that Rafa wasn't really sure what to do out of that corner because he couldn't avoid being there and he didn't like it there. And the third set was definitely one of the better sets we've seen from them, from anyone. It was just an unbelievable set of tennis. And then by the fourth set, Nadal just didn't have anything left to really give.
Broken.
Yeah, it was just, that was a wrap. The third set was such a slugfest that it left Rafa with nothing left, and Novak was able to take the fourth set easily. And it was the best performance against Nadal on Philippe Chatrier that we've seen. Better than Soderling, better than Novak in 2015.
Yeah, I think that's
16.
right. 16 or 15. It's one of the two, but he's...
when he beat him.
Oh, but it was the fact Rafa
it's 6
had
years before 2021.
That's ridiculous. All right.
That's how I know. It's every 6 years he loses. So 2021,
good one.
wind at 6 years, wind back 6 years.
Well, yeah, but the fact that he had set point, I think, was just so crazy in that third set. Sorry, and it just seemed like that was the pivotal moment, and it was just at that point just disappearing, that missed volley on top of the net, and you just thought, oh no, what's he done? Like, it's almost like he's gifted Djokovic, or given him like a mental edge in that one point. And we know that Djokovic, you can just go for days. He probably could have played like another 2 sets or something, even after the fourth. I don't know how many sets that guy could play. That's what it felt like that day. Everything. He would just keep playing until he was like dead in the ground. He was not losing that match. And to see Rafa's things get cut off his feet, we were like, what's going on here? He's literally, what's it they say? He takes your legs first.
Yeah, that was the saying. It's
he
takes your legs and he takes your soul. I forget who said it.
Well, that was sort of
Massetti?
Roddick.
It definitely.
Oh, Roddick. Yeah, that's it.
It definitely took Massetti's soul. We haven't seen Massetti since. Where's he been? I know, but what a match! I mean, an hour and 38 minute set. How often do you get? That's normal match for Rafa at Roland Garros, isn't it? Over 3 sets.
Yeah.
Craziness, but I really hope Rafa's back and that foot's in better nick. I thought it was quite crazy that is the one injury they said would probably stop him playing tennis in his career, and that was before he even won his first Grand Slam. How weird's that? I mean,
Yeah, it's
what
he's
what a
proved a lot of
legend.
people wrong. It's a big inspiration for everyone.
Mind over matter.
Absolutely.
And what I want to talk about here is on the channel. Of course, there was a lot happening in May. We had Kathy win the top tippers, and this was when we first saw the King Leon. So he come onto the scenes, I believe, sort of end of May, June time. That's the first time we saw him. Just for some context for people in the live chat. But moving on from Roland Garros, Ben obviously did say Krejcikova was able to win on the women's.
We skipped the final.
Yeah, I know. Tsitsipas versus Djokovic. Obviously,
yeah, it comes back from
of course.
We had a big thing for the final. John Silk, who's obviously a regular guest on the podcast, he was at the final, giving us some live
final as well, wasn't it?
It was incredible. I mean, I felt sorry for Tsitsipas, though. I have to say, I think he just had I don't know. Obviously, his grandma, wasn't it, passing away just literally moments before it even kicked off.
I don't think he knew that, though.
I thought they said that they told him it beforehand.
No,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was.
I've seen both sides.
Yeah, I have too, and I don't believe the sources that have implied that he knew that, because I mean you got to be insane to tell him that right before he walks on the court, right? Who would do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a bit bizarre, but I felt terrible for him. I mean, he played so well, and that game, that juice that went on for was it 12 minutes in the third set that changed the whole entire course of the match. And who did it again? It's that man again, wasn't it? Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, this is number 2 of the year. So he's halfway there for the calendar slam. And this is where everyone starts thinking, you know what? He's just won Roland Garros. He's surely going to be a big favourite now for Wimbledon, US Open. He's going to do it, isn't he? Surely. And of course, we've got the Olympics on top. Can he get the Golden Slam? We started making songs on Game to Love. Quite literally.
Well, I think we've been going for quite some time. We should probably try and skip through a few of these mid-section ones. I know that the grass court season's pretty quick as it is.
Yeah, but what I want to do with the grass, Ben, quickly, is just sort of group it together.
Sure.
So this is what I wanted to say about the grass court event. So we had obviously Eastbourne, Mallorca, Wimbledon. I'm just reading down these ones. Halle and Stuttgart, right?
Yep.
And with them, this is what I was saying. There's not many players who can and has proven, especially some of the younger crop of players, to play on grass courts. There's a few names will always spring to mind who can do it, and that is, of course, we know Novak Djokovic. Berrettini now shown he is very good on the grass courts. Cilic, we've seen he's able to do it. Felix is another one who's pretty good. Ugo Humbert. And I just want to leave it as them, to be honest. They're sort of the guys for me. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure. Felix is very good. Ugo Humbert, go on. I'd feel free to add some.
I would add Alex de Minaur. I think that's probably his best surface.
Yep.
That's the one.
That's it. I don't think there's many more.
No more.
And that is why it's always really tricky to sort of look at a Wimbledon and make these predictions, because if you're honest, it's going to have to be Djokovic, isn't it? Like, who's going to beat him?
Yeah, it's definitely felt like that. It's felt like the event.
It wasn't that competitive. It's not that competitive.
Not that many contenders. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think that's just the way it was. So I just wanted to get your take on that and see if you could bring any more names to the field. But it seems like you didn't. You've sort of agreed with what we've said.
Yeah, I would agree. The last, it definitely felt Djokovic, big gap. Rest of the field, where on hard courts, it feels maybe. I mean, he's definitely more threatening on grass than he's
dependent on serve always for
play. Look, I think first of all, Medvedev has the skills and the stroke production where his game should work on grass. It really should. But he needs to figure out a return strategy, because it's a lot harder to return from the back fence on that surface because of the low bounce. And Hurkacz had the perfect game plan: wide serve, hit an approach shot into the open court. I mean, he spammed it over and over and over again, and was able to win that match. But I do think Medvedev has all the tools that he needs to be really good on grass. And then, I think Tsitsipas has the return issue, the backhand issue, the slice issues. Rublev has the slice issues. Fucsovics just sliced cross court over and over again. Andre didn't know what to do. There are issues that arise on grass. I don't think Zverev likes the low bounce. So yeah, everyone has issues, and that helps Novak.
Yeah, one man we are forgetting, Feliciano Lopez. He's another one who's pretty good on grass,
Yes.
but not really in the
youngsters
in the fray. But I'm glad Tom mentioned him because he is pretty cool and great at. Is it Queens? He usually does well at.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won the double. He won in 2019. He won singles and doubles.
Yeah,
Queens.
with Murray, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Legend.
So on Wimbledon, Berrettini, we did touch on him. Would you agree that he is the best right now of the rest on grass, apart from Djokovic?
Yeah, but I don't know how long it'll last. If I look at,
Great.
I think last year,
I think it is going to last.
Yes.
This is where I'm going to go against you, Gil. I think he is going to be the man, and I think we're going to see him win a Wimbledon.
Okay.
Soon.
If I look at his grass court
Telling
season,
you now, Ben. Don't you?
he was a hot server.
Is Djokovic having a year off 1 year?
He's doing it. Djokovic is getting older and older. Berrettini's doing it.
Well, he just play it to his backhand then.
That's the only issue, man. That's what bothers me.
I know exactly. That's what he did.
And movement is another area where he's sub elite. You have your Medvedevs and your Zverevs and your Djokovic's. They all.
I think Medvedev could become greater than Berrettini on grass.
I think he will.
That's my personal opinion.
But I think
JG,
I think when you've got a player where you can highlight so many weaknesses with them, that for me is an advantage, because if he's able to sort of develop and work on some of these things, then he's going to be really formidable. He, with all of these weaknesses that we've all outlined, was able to take a set off Novak Djokovic in a Grand Slam final at Wimbledon. So I think that speaks volumes. So that is my angle on the whole thing.
Sure.
Take that, Gil.
First of all, he was the best server in the world, right? All grass court season, nobody returned his serve.
Yeah.
Entire grass court season, nobody returned his serve until Novak, right? So it's like a very straightforward, simple. The serve was so hot, so overwhelming, so insane that he didn't play an elite returner. Again, it's once the serve comes back, to respond to the thing about the weaknesses, he's never going to have elite court coverage. Okay. He'll never develop that. And the backhand, I don't think that will ever get top tier either. So
it can improve. It can massively improve and get taken to another level.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's worked on the two-hander, but I don't see that becoming something that players can't target in rallies. But again, it's hard to get into a rally with him. As big as he serves and as big as his first forehand is, you have to be an incredible returner to get into a rally with Berrettini. And that's going to serve him very well. He's going to make tons of money. He's going to go very deep in a massive number of tournaments. But will I ever favor him against Zverevs and Medvedevs and Djokovic's, even on grass? I don't think so.
Fair enough.
I think it's fair. Until the improvements are shown, I don't think you can.
Yeah, and on the women's side, we did have Barty. We did touch on it. I don't really talk about this final too much because I didn't enjoy it. Barty, too good on the day for Pliskova. Pliskova didn't turn up, then started to show some, but it was a bit too late.
Yeah. Semis were better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
But still, I think it was, I don't know, it was a bit anticlimactic the way. I mean, it just looked like Barty couldn't get it over the line more than anything. And it didn't seem that she sort of stumbled over her own feet, I think, in the final. She should have done it in straight sets, in my opinion. But it is what it is. She still won it. Doesn't matter, does it? Well done, Ash Barty.
Yeah.
July.
On to July. And the first event here is Hamburg for me.
I'm going to use the bathroom quickly because I didn't anticipate this was being an hour and a half in. Be back in 2 tick.
No worries. And in Hamburg, Pablo Carreño Busta beating Krajinovic there. Don't really have too much recollection of this match. Busta, he had such a great year before, playing it amazing. I know he went deep, didn't he, in the US Open, lost to Zverev in the semis. This year was a bit hit and miss from him. We saw some good spells. Anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, he got really hot around this time of year because after Hamburg, he went to Tokyo and
that's right.
won the bronze.
Yeah.
And I had really high expectations for him going into the US Open. Probably one of the bigger upsets in my book of the year was when Cressy beat him in the first round, just to kind of skip ahead, foreshadow.
Yep.
But for Krajinovic, biggest win of his career in that event against Tsitsipas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because he beat Team in Cincinnati in New York 2020.
Yep.
That was one of the weirdest matches I've ever seen.
And then Team went to win the US Open, then the tournament straight after. And I remember Krajinovic talking about that win, and he said he changed his tactic. He went full aggressive and just sort of knocked a Team off the court before he knew what was going on. He'd lost. Yeah, that was and Team was totally flat there. But I thought that was the Tsitsipas win was the best win of Krajinovic's career, and was able to make the final there. So and the big story of July really was sort of the preparation and the build up to the Olympics. We had sort of COVID was overshadowing it a little bit. Wasn't sure, is it going to go ahead? Is there going to be fans? Who's going to be playing? Djokovic did commit in the end. That was the big news. Is he going to be able to get this golden slam? That's all the big talking going into it. And really, a lot of players either sort of pulled out of the Olympics, but there was some who did go. One who did pull out and made full advantage of it was Casper Ruud. Yeah. Because while they're all talking about what's happening there, he was busy doing what he does best, playing some of the smaller events, picking up points. And this is where I have a lot of time for Casper Ruud. He went on to win Bastad in Sweden. He then won the Swiss Open. And then straight after the Olympics, he won Kitzbühel as well. So he was picking up points and slowly approaching that top 10. And well played. Casper Ruud, that's what I've got to say. It's hard to do. Like, I don't want... It's not easy. You should not take away... I don't care that they were 250s or who he played. I mean, to do nothing but win tennis matches every day for 3 weeks. You can only beat who's put in front of you. And I know people have said that the field wasn't great, but...
Look how much tennis there was, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of tennis to play.
Like back to back to back to back. Like, who does that other than Talon Griekspoor on the Challenger Tour? He's just been absolutely incredible. But to do that, and like you said, to do it on the Challenger Tour is tough enough. Yeah. Try and do it in 250s. Yeah, I mean, we saw Rublev, he managed to do it, but it wasn't back-to-back on 500s, but he was doing well in those. This one, I think it's actually pretty big achievement for somebody like Casper Ruud. And I think it's intelligent tennis, if anything. If whilst everybody else is off swanning around, doing Olympics, doing all these other things, he's like, all right, yeah, go on then, mate. I'll pick up. I'll see you in the World Tour finals.
Well, some other players who took advantage. Carlos Alcaraz, he won Umag, the Croatia Open, and Cam Norrie won Los Cabos. And that was more talk. People saying it was a bit of a weaker field, but there was.
Yeah, it was.
Taylor Fritz was there, mate. Taylor Fritz, John Isner. There's some good, big serving Americans. And Nakashima was in the final. Cam Norrie, he's showing he did it on the clay, and now he's doing it on the hard courts.
Well, for me, I just thought he definitely deserved a trophy, Cam Norrie. I just think that I'm glad he got the Indian Wells one, because I don't think everyone would have just always questioned this Los Cabos one and just gone like, oh, look, everybody, no one can make it to tournaments. And we've got like half challenger players, half like they're all Americans that are in there. Or he used to play, obviously, he probably played most of them anyway. He used to be the college like tennis player as well, didn't he, Cam Norrie? So he probably knows their game. I think it was a nice tournament for him, but happy to see him after all those disappointing finals finally pick up a win.
I'm not sure he could have won Indian Wells had he not picked up that title, because he would have come into that final, I think, with an 0-4, let's say either an 0-4 or an 0-5 record in tour level finals. I think it would have been tough. And
bottling it as well a little bit, I'd say, in the finals. I know
he always had tough opposition. I think the one he bottled it was the Ramos Vinolas one. Apart from that, Tsitsipas. I
No,
forget
but he
the
didn't
others,
show
but
up
it was
because he
tough.
looked incredible in the tournament with Tsitsipas in. But in the final, it's like the
Tsitsipas is
deer
another
in
level,
deer
Ben,
in the
man.
headlights, though. No,
On
but
the
it's
play right at the time, it just wasn't to be.
but it was a little
Big
bit like
ask.
he didn't play his same game. That's all I'm saying. If it was the same Norrie and he played the same game and he got beaten by Tsitsipas, fair enough.
Yeah, but he
He
wasn't able
wasn't.
to because it was Tsitsipas there.
Yeah, but it was just he saw Tsitsipas. That was it. It was one already before it even hit a tennis ball. It seemed.
Yeah. Tokyo time, July, end of July time. We can maybe do the women's one as well, Ben. Do you want to start with that?
What do you just want to go to? Yeah, let's just go to the Olympics. I mean, not to be cruel, but looking down the July there, we had Putin Saver winner tournament. We had Zidane
Just go straight to the Olympics.
The Olympics, obviously, it was massive. Belinda Bencic won the Olympic gold for Switzerland, and Vondrousova was she was a player we were talking about a lot around that time. What an incredible run she had. A great final, 3-setter, but Bencic with the gold. Amazing.
Yeah, that was tough because for me to watch the Olympics because I was at Tennis Channel working Kitzbühel, and then it's about time to go to sleep when the Olympics were starting every day. But
Nice.
yeah, I did think, I was impressed with Osaka's first couple matches there, and I actually thought that she was handling the pressure really well, and she might make another run on hard court. So then Vondrousova really slammed the door shut, and that was a big win. And I was glad to see her kind of make another run because she's a crafty, interesting player, and it feels like she announces herself in a big way every 6 months, but doesn't really have the week-to-week consistency. I'm still trying to figure her out.
But yet she's still pretty young, right?
22.
She is.
Yeah.
It's quite crazy. We always
I was
get
shocked
confused.
by it. She's like a name that seems like it's been around for ages, but she's still so young.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure she's not
is.
complaining. But Alex Zverev was able to win the gold for the men's, not beating big opposition in the final, but Khachanov, he was able to get there on his own accord. Fair play to him. I didn't expect it. And the most shocking thing for me about the whole Olympics was not Novak Djokovic not winning the gold, because I actually didn't think he was going to win. I predicted him to lose in the final. Or I think I had him losing in the semi to Zverev, which actually happened. But to not get a medal is shocking for me. He was in the mixed doubles as well, and he ended up leaving Tokyo with nothing.
Yeah.
The mixed doubles thing was very strange, all around. I mean, I don't know that. I don't know.
When you say strange, you mean the decision to enter it, the decision to pull out of it, and everything else? What went with it?
No, good point. All of the above, because he should not have played it.
Yeah.
And then it was weird in doubles that he didn't try to take the court there, especially because you do have a partner to try to help you out, but also we don't know. Most tennis players don't talk about injuries. It's just kind of a thing in the sport. It's not Novak. It's really most of them. So not to single him out at all, but we don't really know much about what the injury was. So it makes the whole thing, with how he crashed out against Carreño Busta, it made it a very tough week for him overall. It was it just felt like the whole stress of it all did get the better of him.
Yeah, agreed completely. I remember a famous quote from him at the time was, "Pressure's a privilege." It wasn't a privilege for him that week.
It sort of stank a bit, didn't it? I mean, it left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths after the Olympics. After you saw the Busta loss, you saw the Zverev one first, and it was sort of, it was like consoling him at the net, and it was all right. And then after that, it just seemed to go a bit downhill really fast. I wasn't really impressed with the real end to it. It's like he wanted out of there as soon as possible, it seemed.
Zverev was insane, though, in that match.
So good.
After losing the first set down a break at 2-3, from that point on, I mean, it was ridiculous, his level. So I think that should be said.
Yeah,
definitely. Right.
Happy to move into August. And
yeah, let's do it.
these ones, we've got a few Masters events. But before the Masters, we had Washington, which did Rafa play Washington, or is that the one he pulled out of?
No, he played it. He lost to he had the epic match against Sock, and then he lost to Lloyd Harris.
That's right, yeah. And this is sort of the foreshadowing of what was to come with him and his injuries.
He went running scared from Lloyd Harris in the next tournament, didn't he?
Yeah, then he pulled out. He drew Lloyd Harris the next one. I thought, sod that, I'm out.
So I don't want this South African again.
We had Yannick Sinner win in Washington. In Toronto, Daniel Medvedev, he was able to win that Masters event. And I'm just trying to remember back on that one. Have you guys got anything to add for Toronto?
He beat every big server in the world, and
that's it.
It was a classic display of.
Was it John Isner and then Riley Opelka?
Yeah, Medvedev's returning is probably a little bit underrated at this point. Well, he's just not. I mean, he's the hardest player in the world to ace. So
yeah, definitely.
And then Cincinnati, my big memory of Cincinnati was Medvedev sort of colliding with the cameras at the back against Ante Rublev. And then that was it for him. He was just done. Rublev was able to finally beat him. There's like the little brother, big brother syndrome where you never thought Medvedev was able to lose to Rublev, but it happened. I generally put it down to the fact that he hit the camera. If he didn't, I think Medvedev would have beaten him. And then Medvedev would have won the whole thing and beaten Zverev in the final, but we don't know that. Zverev did do the business, and he was on a high after winning the Olympics. And Ben was having some big claims after that, wasn't you, Ben? Comparing him to Murray.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it going to be the Murray magic again? You win the Olympics, then you go and win the US Open. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. He just fell down at the Novak Djokovic hurdle, which many people do. On the women's side, I think we skipped over, excuse me, Camila Giorgi. She had a massive tournament win. I remember that one at the time, National Bank Open. And no one expected her. She went on that crazy run. She obviously beat Pliskova in the final. Seems to always get there, but didn't win. She beat Pegula. She beat Coco Gauff in that one. She just seemed unstoppable, and that was coming up to this US Open. And I think I got a bit carried away after that thing in predicting her to do well at the US Open. This recency bias is a thing, Gil, as you know. And, get carried away too much, and I think she went out first round or something, didn't she?
I think so, yeah.
I think she played had a tough match, though. I think she had someone like Halep or someone like that, though.
Yeah.
Terrible. But, yeah, I thought I'd throw that in there because that was a massive win for her. Obviously, picking up a Masters title, and no one really had her pegged down for that one.
No one saw it coming.
Barty picked up her second Masters title of the year shortly after in Cincinnati as well. Like, just absolutely blitzed Teichmann in the final.
She was just too good in that event, wasn't she?
Yeah, just unplayable.
A big talking point to discuss. It's great why we've got Gill here as well. And this is this time where we've got bathroom gate happening. So all the talk of Tsitsipas heading off to the toilet. I feel like we've got to talk about it. We've got Kathy in the chat saying bathroom gate. Was it Cincy? Was Zverev and Tsitsipas? We've got Gene asking as well. The toilet break, guys, you can't forget it. Yeah. We have now changed the rules, I believe. Well, we haven't. Yes. They have changed the rules.
we did it.
It wasn't all of us, but they have changed them for next year. What is your thoughts on the new rules and what was happening this year?
I got to see the implementation, right? I think the new rules at face value, I think they're, as long as they seem good. It seems like this could be a good thing because Tsitsipas shouldered way too much of this. I mean, this has been in this sport for such a long time that players use medical timeouts and bathroom breaks strategically. That has been done countless times by so many players, and Tsitsipas should by no means be the face or the poster boy of this. Exactly. Yeah. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but if we're trying to take that out of the sport, I think that's welcome. I don't mind that at all. So, that's that. The Zverev thing was probably also a little bit cheap in hindsight. that he said his dad's texting him. You gotta.
It did look weird though. Come on, Gil. We can't.
It looked like
deny
he
it.
was, but we don't know.
Right, but you got to kind of bring it. You got to bring some. I don't know, if you make that claim, you better bring the proof.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I mean, what other time is someone going to start texting though, other than when there's a long break in play? He's obviously not going to do it whilst they're playing. I don't know. It's just because the camera went to him as soon as he went into the bathroom. It was like
it was theater. It
was texting quite frantically, but we don't.
But
know.
it was just the way. It was almost like they just did him a disservice there. I mean, whoever was in charge of the cameras that day and saying, "Right, go screen 1. Right, you go screen 2." His dad's texting, quick, screen 4, go to that one. Like that. And then they were like, "Oh, this is brilliant. This is actually, we've just made the biggest controversy of the year just over a bathroom break." So
yeah,
ridiculous.
If you look at the rules carefully, though, I am a little bit concerned about some of them because there is like some subjectivity. So basically, you're only allowed to change your clothes between sets once, but like the umpire can determine if an exception needs to be made. And I just think that could be a disaster with players being like, "Look how sweaty I am." Like, you need to make an exception. Exactly. And then the umpire's like, "Let me see. Okay. Right." It's like, you need to make these things objective. You cannot have in the rules like subjective sweatiness.
It's going to get abused otherwise. It needs to be. That's the rule, and that's how the way it is. I agree completely with that.
Yeah.
Moving on, New York, somewhere you're quite
let's
familiar with, right, Gil?
Oh yeah.
And US Open time now, end of August. So many stories. This time for a change, I'm going to start with Ben on the women's because I think the women stole the show, if I'm honest.
I don't think anyone saw it coming, though, did they?
They were the highlight. I remember we was covering more women's matches than we ever have, and I was more excited every single match to watch them and see what was going on. I kind of neglected the men's US Open a little bit.
It sort of started that, yeah. I mean, it
Did
started
start
from
like
the qualifiers.
that, but then
it started from the qualifiers though, because we had one eye all the time on Raducanu after the Wimbledon thing. We were just sort of like, let's see how she does in the qualifying. I mean, is she going to do right? Oh, she beat Shoops. Okay, yeah, she beat Balbadze. Okay, Sharif. Whoa, I thought she was really tough. Yeah,
I thought that was going to be a big stumbling block. I thought she's going to lose to Sharif, and that's where she falls down.
And then it just snowballed. It was just this. It was the perfect storm. I mean, everyone has to agree that tournament. It was just everything. All the pieces were sort of started to fit together, didn't they? And we didn't want to jinx it. Everybody was just trying their best not to say the words Raducanu Fernandez final, just because the fear that we might affect it. But it did happen. And that was just, it was just, I don't know how to even describe. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like it again.
No, it's crazy. And I'll put my hands up now. Every single round, I predicted Raducanu to go out. Every single round. Every round. I was like, she's going out next round. I think the only round I thought she was going to win was the semi-final, funny enough. As crazy as it sounds. When she got that far, she's going to win the semi. But even the final, I wasn't convinced. Like, there was every round, I doubted her. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, the one I had her going out to was Cerebres Tormo, and it was the one that she only, what is it, a bagel and a breadstick. There you go. She gave her a breadstick.
No one saw it coming, right, Gil?
No. And that was the one, the Cerebres Tormo win. I was like, what the heck was that? And I remember rushing to the court, looking at the score line, and I got there and it was over already. I'm not kidding. And then Emma stayed out and signed autographs for like 10, 15 minutes, which is super generous because I think she was like, oh, I feel bad for all these fans who tried to watch a tennis match. And I just, obviously only played for 30 minutes or whatever it was. Yeah, Cerebres Tormo has had such a great season on hard courts. So that was the one. And it was like, what's going on here?
Well, put it into perspective that Sorribes Tormo before that match, she'd already just knocked out Mukova and Shea Su Wei in the last 2 rounds, and you're thinking, wow, Mukova, a seeded player, has already fallen to her, and we know what she's about. She's normally in those big long battles, isn't she? Like 3 hours grueling on the court. Oh, she never gives up. Didn't even get a hit of the ball for the whole match. It was bizarre.
Yeah,
I didn't even get a chance to do a watch along on it. It was over before I even got there. Like the same as you.
Yeah. And then with Leylah Fernandez, another brilliant story.
Amazing.
Someone who, for me, I know Ben was saving me to talk about her, but I was never a massive fan of her last year. I thought she was good. I wasn't really convinced.
I was more of a fan of her than you.
Yeah, you was. I thought, yeah, she's okay. She won my heart big time this year. She's taken it to another level, and she's shown what she's capable of doing. I'm telling it now. I'm going out on a win. I'm predicting massive things from her this year. I think she's going to shock some people. I don't want to get too carried away like I already have, but I just feel like there's something special there with her. I love everything about her style and her grit and determination. The big difference between, say, her and Raducanu or even like an Iga Swiatek is she wins from behind. And there's not many young players who've shown that they're able to win from behind. Iga wins matches quite quickly, usually, when she does it. Same with Raducanu, what she was able to at US Open. Leylah Fernandez, a little bit different. She can play against the very best in the likes of, was it Osaka?
Svitolina, Sabalenka. Kerber was the one I was looking for. And she can go down a set and still win. And I think that, for me, speaks volumes on what she's able to do.
Yeah, the fighting spirit and the energy is pretty much unrivaled. And, that
she covers the court so well. She's so fast, all over the place. Yeah.
So quick.
And, it comes from her box. I mean, I've never seen a box deliver so much energy to the court. There's so much spirit there. And her trainer, I forget his name, but it's her fitness trainer, who's the guy who's wearing the same soccer jersey all week. Just the energy that he brings, and she buys into that. And she just was winning every single battle. It was really incredible. And the lasting image of the US Open for me is her signature celebration with the hands straight up. Yeah.
Statue of Liberty. I loved it.
That was it.
Is it one hand or is it 2 hands?
It's one.
That was for the big hurrah when she finally she did
right. No, but mid-match, what she would do, she would just put her arms straight up.
Right, yeah.
Straight up.
I love as well, before she returns serve, she'll sort of look to the backboards and she'll start practicing some shots, like turning away from the court, and she's like on the spot, like practicing some shots, and she's ready again. Just so much energy. I'd be exhausted if I was doing that.
It was the bopping around, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She was always like raring to go, and it was just we had the pleasure of watching some of them. I mean, the Osaka one was one we didn't even cover as a watch along, but we got to actually watch it, and it was incredible. I think my favorite one for me was the Svitolina match. I have to say, I think that one we actually did cover, and it was Svitolina was playing some of the best tennis I've ever seen her play. Svitolina, I thought that she could have really made it. If she hadn't met Leylah Fernandez, she had a chance for the tournament. But wow, what a match! Some of the best winners, rallies I've ever seen in women's tennis. Not gonna lie, it was that good, that match.
Yep. And on the men's, Daniil Medvedev beat Novak Djokovic and stopped the calendar year slam. It wasn't to be for Novak. Medvedev was able to beat him in which was, I know tactically, I feel like me and Ben agree on this one. Was this the one with the sort of the volley into the net? Was it serve? I forget exactly what happened now. Is it serve volley when Medvedev kept coming into the net?
No, I don't think so.
I just what in the final
they played since, haven't they? That was
Novak in Paris.
It was Novak made the adjustments. I think that was the thing that was lacking in that final. I don't know if it was the energy or something in that final.
Novak actually went to
seemed
net
tired.
a ton. Yeah, Novak went to net a ton in that final and had a terrible efficiency, about 60% net points won, which sounds good, and it's not, because that means you're on top of the point. You know, you're supposed to win net points at a very, very high rate.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Pat Rafter and you're just forcing your way up there. But yeah, it felt like a combination of nerves and fatigue. And if there's one of them, like if it's only nerves, Novak is really good at managing that and dealing with that. Like in the Wimbledon final, thought Novak was really nervous and pretty tight, but he still had his legs and his movement, and he was just able to play a little bit safer and still play a good match and a good enough match to win.
Yeah.
But it felt like when he had to attack, he was too tight and he was too tired to defend and kind of grind it out. And Medvedev winning all the long rallies, really good serving by Daniil and much better serve effectiveness than we saw in Australia. And he was much better. He was just in a much better state. But also shout out to Medvedev's confidence and his swagger and his ability to front run, because we've seen Tsitsipas and Zverev get a little bit uncomfortable in major finals when they're close to winning. And Medvedev was not uncomfortable in that position, and he blew through the finish line.
I was really proud of him.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was going to say, let me put a question to you. Now that he's done it, Daniil Medvedev, do you think that's the start now? Because he's got it over the line finally. He obviously had the two finals before that, the 5-set against Rafa, obviously in the US Open, and then the Djokovic one, which was a bit of he didn't really turn up, let's be honest. Now he finally beat Djokovic straight sets in that final. Do you think now he's got like the sort of, oh, I've now won one. Will he now pick up a few more?
Mentally, I have no questions with him. I think he's ready to continue to win majors. There are some slight, almost half weaknesses that I think he's improved, but we saw in Paris, for example, someone as good as Novak can still kind of pick away at those. His return position, again, he's an amazing returner, but you can serve and volley against it. You can net approach against his flat hitting and the fact that he stands way back. He's gotten better at dipping the approach shots low. All in all, I think he's an incredibly tough out and this unbelievable talent. I think he's going to win many more, but is he going to kind of become a dude who's unbeatable? I don't see that happening unless he addresses a couple of things. I think he needs to be more versatile on return. And the forehand, his ability to attack the forehand when he doesn't have pace to work with, that's why he struggles on clay. And
that's one thing I want to bring up with you.
Yeah. And I don't know how that's going to get better. I think unless he gets physically stronger, it's going to be difficult for him to improve that. So that's the question. Can he also become more versatile throughout the three surfaces?
Well, yeah, we've had a couple of interesting comments come in there. We got Gene saying the crowd, the US Open crowd, famous for being noisy. I would say disrespectful. You might say different.
No offense taken. No offense.
Exactly. I'm very vocal on my, I'd say disgust at when people are trying to serve out for matches and stuff, and you just won't just give them like a bit of quiet to serve. But that's just me. I'm a purist. I'm a Wimbledon guy. So we're used to it. Everybody,
It's incredible. Drop. It's incredible. I mean, I was at Wimbledon for the first time in 2019. The silence is actually really impressive. The only thing you can hear is coughing.
Yeah.
Someone's coughing at all times.
Even more now.
Yeah.
Quite a few people coughing these days.
That's it. Right.
I think I'm going to move on from the US Open and move into September.
Let's do it.
With September, there's not too much to discuss. It started off with the Laver Cup. I didn't enjoy the Laver Cup. We have an American on, so let's talk about America and how poor they were. But can we really be too against America? Because
AG.
no, I'm being
Fix
honest.
it in.
With the US, their team's nowhere near as strong as Europe. It's not really much of a competition, is it?
No,
pointless.
it's not. It is. I mean, Team World has not won yet. It's been
Sorry,
close.
US. I shouldn't say that. It's Team World, but
yeah.
Well.
Come on, JG. I mean, let's not.
It is. It's pretty much US.
It's mostly US. It's US Schwartzman and I don't know.
Kyrgios. Seeing that.
Yeah, I mean,
Lloyd Harris on the bench.
look, the whole top 10's from Europe.
Yeah, it's
so
yeah,
there's
they need
not
to
much
maybe
to
change
say.
the event. I don't look forward to it. I'll probably have to watch it next year, but I'm not a fan of it. They need to change and make it a little bit more competitive. Maybe include Russia and Team World somehow, but
That would do it. That would fix it.
that's the only way I feel like
it
that's
is
the
the
only
only
solution
way
I
you
can
can
think
do
of.
it. Yeah,
But they're all from Moscow, right? Which is in Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you can't. Doesn't really work.
Gets a green card or something. Maybe I don't know. Moves over. I don't know. How do you do it? Tough.
Make it a draft. Do a draft. Make the captain's draft.
Yeah, that would work.
I don't know why. You know, we
It'd
have
make it more
between
exciting.
Davis
The
Cup-
current format doesn't work at all.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
And come
But
on,
Team
between
One, the result
ATP
is
Cup, Davis Cup, Laver Cup, I don't need to see the countries fighting more. I'm good.
I agree. Yeah, this year, it ended abruptly, didn't it? So it was a bit super disappointing. Anyway, I think move away from that, mate.
We had Hurkacz winning in Metz in France. Casper Ruud won San Diego. Yannick Sinner winning Sofia again. Obviously, that was his first title last year. Followed up with another win, beating Gal Monfils in the final. Great to see Monfils pulling together a few results finally, but nowhere near the level we'd expect from him.
Yeah, I was going to say on the women's side, Clara Towson, she picked up her second title of the year. That was I don't know. We were sort of waiting for it to come, but that was against Ostapenko in the final. You know how well Ostapenko was playing around that time. And then we had Kontaveit. She was that was when she started that sort of amazing run of form, wasn't it? The sort of the back end of the year. She picked up a win in, was it Ostrava in the Czech Republic, beating Sakari in the final. And Kontaveit just went from strength to strength after that and followed it up with an amazing tour finals. So looking forward to her.
Arguably, ended the year was one of the best with Muguruza.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Indian Wells in October. Cam Norrie won the men's, beating Basasvili in the final. And on the women's, Badoza was able to beat Azarenka. Really enjoyed the women's final as well. Badoza, how high is her ceiling? I know we asked Ferrer, but what does Gill Gross think about it? Just
what's the question?
Ferrer's insight.
Badoza.
How good can she be?
Yeah.
I think she's I don't know. I see her as a top 10er for a long time. I don't really see her as a world's beater in terms of like multiple major. I don't really see that. But I see her as a top 10er. I think she's an amazing athlete. I love her groundies on both wings. And she's a player who's kind of gone through a journey mentally, which I always like. You know, she needed to figure it out mentally, and she's worked on that part because she was starting from a place where she had to address her mental health. And I think that creates a good thing for her moving forward.
Yeah, the reason I'm smiling a little bit is because I'm thinking of Ben there. I don't want to give the game away too much, but he has her very high in his predictions for next year's 2022.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. But even not
for the top 10. He has it very, very high. I'm not going to say, don't give away the position though, Ben.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm going to say, but for not even to say for her for next year. But I mean, I think I disagree. I think her ceiling is much higher. We obviously spoke to Ferrer. He's very, very big on her and can't speak of her highly enough. And there's just something about her. I know that she's amazing on the clay courts. And she's got that Spanish, she's got that drive, she's got that grit, that determination to win matches. And now we've seen it on the hard court as well. And well, just a hard
the
hitter.
serve's great.
Serves big, big hitter. And that final against Azarenka, that was grit, that was determination, and it showed she can hit big winners on big points.
Is she winning Grand Slam next year, Ben?
I think she's in with a chance. She's in. I reckon if I had to pick like a top 10 players who could win a slam, she's definitely in there for sure. Maybe even
obviously
top
10, mate.
Yeah, but
Come
maybe
on.
even top. No, but not necessarily. You don't have to give her that because she hasn't done that well at the slams yet. I think next year could be a year though. I think she could have a really strong 2022.
Fair enough. And
I
anything
dunno.
on Cam Norrie winning Indian Wells? Just business as usual, wasn't it?
Shock. That was the big thing. What? And it was sort of the battle of the it was the firepower versus the consistency, wasn't it? That
I think there's a lot of top seeded players in the draw, was there not? And we ended up with Basaksehir Norrie final. No one predicted it in our bracket. No one got anywhere close.
No one. Yeah, it was bizarre, if I'm honest. But
brilliant for Norrie.
Brilliant for Norrie. I was very happy. Obviously, Dimitrov. That was when he had that amazing victory versus Medvedev, wasn't it? In that one,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
8 games in a row, shocked the world. And then what did I say? Oh, he's done that. He's plainly just going to go out next round. What happened? Definitely just goes out to. It wasn't even a great performance, but it's just what Dimitrov does to you. He'll show you the world, and he'll just take it all away again in the next match. But
it was a bad matchup, though. Tactically, whenever the ball was on Dimitrov's backhand, it was just he just didn't have anything good to do with it because his cross-court slice goes to the Norrie forehand. His down the line slice, Norrie was running around it, hitting a forehand anyway, and Dimitrov's drive just isn't that good.
I just thought it was just I could just see it coming. It was just one of those ones. Yeah. Norrie, Mr. Consistent, and Dimitrov, if he's firing, it's great. If he's not, he's losing. That's it. Simple as. And 75% of the time, he's probably not firing, I'd say.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And
anyway.
End of October, Alex Zverev won another title. He won Vienna. No, we're moving on from them.
All right, Karatsev won Kremlin Cup. Just throw that in.
We can't do all of them. Let's go on to November, and this is Paris Masters time. Djokovic beating Medvedev in a really good final. Djokovic finally got his revenge. He got his revenge from Zverev after losing the Olympics, beating him in the what was that?
Which round was it?
What did he beat Zverev? Was it US Open then? Right?
Yeah, he beat him in the US Open semis.
Yeah, US Open semis, and then he got his payback on Daniel Medvedev in the Paris Masters.
Yeah, so pretty mad though to think that Zverev, Medvedev's been sort of a bogey player for him, hasn't he? I personally think. Out of all the
you look at the head-to-head, Zverev used to always beat Medvedev, and now it's just Medvedev always beating Zverev, but he's finally broke it and been able to beat him in the last 4 or 5 years or whatever it is.
A lot of Medvedev's head-to-heads, though, and I think the same thing is with, I do the same thing with Novak, where he's a different player starting in 2011.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think with Medvedev, you should do that as well.
Right. Medvedev he didn't find himself until summer of 2019.
Yep.
So you look at a lot of these head-to-heads, and it's like, well, did you beat Medvedev before then, or did you beat Medvedev after then? Because it's a different thing,
No, I totally agree.
This Masters was good because it means Djokovic then. How many Masters was it, Ben? I know we did a title. We did
37 in total after the Paris one.
37. So he's outright in the lead now.
Yes, indeed, he is. Obviously, he had that super close match with Hurkacz in the semi-final, even though he bageled him. But that final set tiebreak was tight. So there's still part of me that just thought that he was always going to go through. I don't know. I just had a feeling in that tournament he wanted to face Medvedev, and he just needed that. That was just I don't know why. I wanted to talk about it in the US Open bit, but I just thought the Paris Masters, he needed that. Because if you're going to go into Australia, he needed the knowledge he could beat Medvedev again, just to say,
he knows he always can.
Yeah, I know, but he just needed that.
That is the most exciting matchup right now we can watch in tennis on the hard courts is Medvedev Djokovic. Doesn't get any better. That is the pinnacle of the sport right now, in my opinion. Maybe Gil's got another one, but I think that is the best.
I agree, especially because Djokovic, Zverev, the head-to-head, they play quality matches, but like tactically, it's not interesting.
No, this is very interesting.
You see twists and turns. You see Novak. The first couple times they played, it was animalistically physical, just insanely physical. Novak in the Australian Open final this year was like, okay, I'm done with that. Let's get a little aggressive here. And then Medvedev has come back and used that strategy against Novak and has outlasted him and has been the more consistent player en route to victory. And then in the last chapter, Novak was obviously dominating the short points again with the serve volley.
Yeah, well, that was the key thing, wasn't it? I mean, it was quite clear to see after watching the US Open final and thinking, he looks a bit tired. He looks like he's lacking for just some sort of another, like he normally has plan A to Z, and this time he only had plan like A to D or something in that US Open final. Didn't have the legs, and now we saw he made an adjustment. He took some time off.
This is the serve volley one, isn't it? Where Djokovic
exactly right. And the adjustment was just dramatic, and you just saw he was out there to prove a point in that Paris Masters final. He wanted that 37th one. When there's something on the line for him as well, I know that the calendar year slam was on, but he wasn't going to end this year without a big bang, because there was still the possibility that he could have obviously lost year-end number one at one point as well, because Medvedev was still in with a chance with it, but he just wanted just to put the little icing on the cake, say, I'm still here, mate. You beat me once, but not again.
Moving on, next gen ATP finals. Alcaraz, outright favourite. Korda was the second favourite, and that was the final we had. We both predicted it. We knew it was going to happen, and fair play to Alcaraz. He won against a field you'd expect him to be able to beat, but he still did it, and I'm happy for him. We're not going to see him hopefully we don't see him again in the next gen, because I want to see him pushing on and knocking on the door for the ATP finals. I think he can.
I agree. He's crazy. I haven't been this high on a prospect as I am on Alcaraz, really, in my lifetime, because I kind of miss. I mean, which sounds crazy. Then you remember
high praise,
but Novak. I'd say when I started watching tennis, due to my age, Novak was kind of already somewhat established, and there has not been a prospect. There's been no young player who I think has the total package to the extent that Alcaraz does, with the generational athleticism, his polish from a technical perspective, the way he has all the shots, and also the weaponry with the forehand and mostly off the ground that he brings. There's just very few holes that I can poke in Carlos Alcaraz.
Well, don't poke holes. I want to push you. If you have to pick your favorite shot of his, what one would it be? That would probably be a better thing to pick.
Well, my favorite attribute is his athleticism. So now I'll give you a shot. But I just want to start with that. The best part of him is his athleticism.
Yep.
Let me just keep it interesting. How about the forehand drop shot? Ooh. I love how comfortable he is finishing with his forehand drop shot off of short balls. And to have that in combination with the power he brings off of that very same side, I think it's going to really help him and his offense moving forward.
And could we see him in the ATP finals next year?
Yeah.
Exclusive. I think.
I know last year we was talking about Sinner, and we were saying, is he going to be able to do it? He come very close.
We got it.
Well, he's made it eventually.
He was there.
Yeah,
he won a match.
Yeah,
but he kind of got it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the ATP finals. Alex Zverev won it the second time, beating Medvedev in the final. Yeah. I thought Medvedev was going to beat him in that final as well, but Fair play. Zverev, what a fantastic year he had, and he capped it off with a fantastic end.
He definitely unlocked something this year. I thought he was so much better off of his forehand from the Olympics on. And a lot of people talk about his second serve and that he wasn't double faulting. Yes, I mean, I agree, but I don't think that is nearly as important in his success that we saw because he still double faults a ton. You know, if you look at the stats, he just does.
Yep.
I think last time I checked, he was 4th in the world in double fault rate on his second serve. So still double faults a ton. But the forehand, it used to be very loopy, usually cross court. And his opponents could rely on that. It wasn't going to be down the line usually, and he wasn't going to flatten it out and really hurt you. He's now kind of unleashed his forehand and loosened up and flattened it out in a way that completely changes his game. And that's been the biggest thing, the biggest reason why I think he's made a leap to the point where now he's been a little bit more threatening against obviously getting that win over Medvedev, which he hadn't gotten 5 straight times, and playing Djokovic really tough all throughout the year.
Oh, it's really tough. There's just something, I think that was another sort of thing. We've seen like these rivalries that are sort of growing. That one was one that I wanted to see sort of take the next step. I think that Zverev, we've not really even put him in the conversation when it comes to like, say like Rafa, Djokovic. I mean, Medvedev and team were sort of the ones who were sort of knocking on the door. We were sort of saying, obviously, Federer's not really there anymore. But now I think he can.
No,
be
he was
included.
with Zverev, and then it dropped off for a bit, and then he's.
No, but I don't think he's ever really been in the real conversation, though. Like
he was at the start, mate.
Against someone like a Medvedev, because of all the losses to him, there's part of me that just felt that he wasn't. Now,
Zverev's been around for ages, it seems.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. He had it's almost like
Medvedev,
4 years ago.
Remember, these are the more new kids on the block.
Yeah, but 4 years ago, Zverev, yes, I would have said that. The one that's been playing for the last 2 to 3 years, probably not. Now this Zverev is
back. He's
back and better than the one 4 years ago.
This is the one. This is the one that can win a slam next year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly right, and that's what I'm excited about. The fact that he lost 6-2, 6-2 to Daniil Medvedev last time they played in Paris, he comes back and he played him twice, didn't he, in this finals? And the first one was a sign of things to come because look how he closed the distance. He got to 2 tie breaks with him and lost 8-6 in the final tie break. And then in the second match, he was unplayable. What was it? His serve was just literally, he couldn't even return it. Was it finished off with a second serve ace? See you later. So unplayable when he's like that.
It's mental stuff for him, though, because he doesn't have a signature win at a major. So he's going to need that. And that's going to be a hurdle for him. He just needs to summon the confidence and conquer those demons.
I think he can do it. I know he's great in 3-set matches, but there's just something now. I'm just hoping that we get to see it. There was something different about Medvedev in that final, though. I'm not sure what it was in the World Tour final. He lost like all of his bravado, all of his pop. It was gone. There was no like. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the fact Zverev played that well.
Yeah,
but it just seemed
Zverev
like
was serving well as well. I think it's been a long year for all these players, and sometimes Medvedev, I don't know, it just happens. Zverev played well on the day, and that's the way it went. But I'm just cautious of the time. I know we've been talking for a very long time. Ben will probably be here for another 2 hours if I don't speed him along.
Man.
But we do have work tomorrow as well, and it's coming up to 1 a.m. in the UK. So just the final sort of few little bits. On the women's, I don't want to just ignore them in the ATP finals. Muguruza did win that, beating Kontaveit in the final. I'm expecting some really big things for Muguruza and Kontaveit. But Muguruza, you'll be surprised when you see her in my sort of predictions for next year's rankings. I have her pretty high. That's just a little spoiler alert. And the final one, Davis Cup. We started with Russia at the ATP Cup, ended with them. They're the strongest team. They won it at a canter.
What can you say to that?
Yeah. Did you guys, Guadalajara was fascinating with the conditions. I mean, the altitude is insane. People people consider, I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong, but Madrid is in altitude. Guadalajara is more than double.
That's mad.
So it was really interesting
roasting
to watch
as
them try to
well.
deal with that.
Yeah, we wasn't able to watch as much as we would like to. I think they conflicted with some of the other matches.
3 a.m.
at
the
same
most,
time.
a lot of them.
And then some of them were
weren't
like
they?
late, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was
But
super late.
that's
Good
unfortunate.
crowds.
But yeah, I think that sort of summarizes our 2021 review. I told you guys it was only going to be a short one. 2 hours 20 later, we're still going. But just going to give a big shout out to Gill Gross for coming on, sharing his insight. Hopefully you enjoyed it and we didn't bore you too much.
Not at all. Always a pleasure, guys. A lot of fun. Hey, I didn't even comment. You guys have the matching backwards hats. It took me until now to notice. So I'll bring mine next time, and you'll have a button. Maybe, I don't know. I know. I no pressure on that. But,
well, you're going to put me to it now. So I've got a year.
We'll have a button.
I'll make sure of it. Next year in December, the Gill Gross button will be being played for the first time. If not before, if he fancies an appearance, maybe earlier. Who knows?
I would love that.
Well, I think we should wrap it up, mate. I think we've been keeping these guys 2 hours, 20 minutes. It was an epic year on the tennis tour, on the ATP, on the WTA, and on the GTL. Anything left to say, JG?
Yes, I want to go around and pick your favorite moment of the year. Starting with you, Gill.
Favorite moment of the year.
So out of everything we've discussed, if you had to pick one, maybe I'll let you guys think because I've thrown it on you. I'll go first.
Go on then.
It's very tough because there's so many great moments, but I'm going to just pick one out, which was special to me at the time because I really enjoyed it on the stream. And that's going to be Rafa in Barcelona beating Tsitsipas. I enjoyed that one very much, and it was an incredible match. And for me, that was one of my moments of the year, personal to me.
Okay.
Well, for me, I think you already know what I'm going to say, to be honest, but I'm going to say it anyway. It was the big build-up. It was the fairy tale. It was the Women's US Open final. Emma Raducanu coming from nowhere, 300 in the world at the beginning of the year, and then winning the US Open without dropping a set, the first qualifier ever to do so. I don't know if we'll ever see it again, but it was incredible, and I still wonder if was that actually real? that's how crazy it was. So,
yeah.
How about yourself, Gil?
I will go with that fateful Friday afternoon in Paris, semifinal day, where I decided on a personal level I was going to do a post-match live stream for the first time, and I come on there. And Rafael Nadal had lost at Roland Garros. And that was, it just felt, it felt massive while the match was happening. It felt historic. It felt big. The despair on one side, the triumph on the other. I mean, this is kind of what it's about, regardless of what side you were on there. I would say that was my moment of the year.
Brilliant. I think that's a great way to end it. Big thank you, Gill, for coming on. Thanks to you, Ben. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please make sure hit the like button on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Go check out Gill as well. He does some awesome stuff on his channel. We'll put some links in the live chat and also in the description for you guys to go check it out. Anything you're doing in particular which you want to let them know about?
No, nothing new and exciting, but that's actually not true. There is some stuff for 20.
It's got loads going on.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself. So I think if you subscribe, you will learn soon enough.
He's a man of mystery. He loves it. I love it.
And I remember last year in your top 10, you had a bit of a surprise pick in Andy Murray. Yes. Is that right? We can't let you get away with that.
Oh, I think I did.
Yeah, we're not going to let you get away with that one. We had a bit of a sneak.
Hey, I was expecting a healthy year. Let's see what happens next year, though, because I still think if he's healthy, he can do it.
Listen, if it makes you feel any better, Ben had Sophia Kenin as his world #1. So things can always be a
I
little
hold
bit
my hands
worse.
up. That could always
Yeah.
be
What we
worse.
want to get from you, I'm going to wrap it up, I promise. But do you have anyone who you think can make the top 10 next year, like a real shock? Or have
I
you not
haven't.
thought about it
I
yet?
haven't done it yet. No, I haven't
Okay.
done it yet.
He
Okay,
wants
no worries.
he wants a Gill Gross exclusive. That's it. Stealing his views. But mate, been a pleasure to have you on, Gill. I
Speak
would
soon,
say
yeah.
let's not leave it another year, but if we have to, then we'll definitely see you next year, if not
Yeah.
before, mate.
No, if not before. Yeah, big fan of you guys, and keep it up. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and we'll do it again soon.
Stay safe, stay healthy, mate.
You too.
Thanks for watching, guys.